has sold out for today's intersectional battle between two top 20 teams as 5th-ranked Florida meets the 18th-rated Orangemen of Syracuse. And here come the Gators. Unbeaten in their first 2 outings, explosive team averaging 47 points a game. The Gators are for real, and they're oozing with confidence as they shut out Alabama last week 35-0. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Bender, and a new member of our ABC team, John Spagnola. All Ivy at Yale, the starting tight end in the Super Bowl for the Philadelphia Eagles. And, John, welcome aboard.
Thank you, Gary. I'm looking forward to an exciting afternoon of college football.
Well, we ought to have a lot of offense. Steve Spurrier's Florida team has really gotten the attention of the SEC.
That's right, Gary. They call it the fun and gun in Gainesville, Florida. And with good reason. Of the 35 pass completions so far this year from the Florida offense, 9 have gone for touchdowns. That's over 25%. Shane Matthews, last year's SEC Player of the Year, is the quarterback of the Gator offense, and he is surrounded by a wealth of talent at the receiver positions. But oddly enough, Gary, in talking to the Syracuse coaches this week, their main concern defensively is to limit the Gator ground attack.
And the Orangemen of Syracuse coming onto the field here at the Carrier Dome. They've won their first 2 games. New coach Paul Pasqualoni. And you know, John, even though the Orangemen are 2-0, they may be fortunate to be unbeaten because they've turned the ball over 8 times, and their quarterback, Marvin Graves, he's turned it over 6 times.
That's right, he has. Marvin Graves can do so many things from the quarterback position. He can roll out. He can scramble. He runs the freeze option, which we'll see very early in the ball game today, and he can drop back and throw the football, which, as you know, most option quarterbacks cannot do. The problem with Marvin Graves is he tries to make big plays when they simply are not there. That results in turnovers. Marvin Graves knows he can't turn the ball over this afternoon against this talented Gator defense.
Syracuse is tough in the Dome. They've won 23 of the last 27. This is a very special day at SU. It's homecoming, 1991. The festivities getting underway yesterday. We'll be back with a kickoff in just a moment. Is that Michael? Yeah. At the Carrier Dome, and we welcome those of you who have been watching Rutgers Northwestern. The Scarlet Knights defeating the Wildcats 22-18, and this is Ryan Ruland. Will be kicking off for the Florida Gators. Syracuse won the toss. They elected to receive. Padre Ismail is back deep along with Terry Richardson. It's going to be Richardson at the 5-yard line. And it's a reverse handoff going to the far side of the field to Kirby Dardar. Dardar is out of the Florida area to 50. He may go all the way. Kirby Dardar, freshman out of Tampa, takes it all away. Touchdown, Syracuse.
From the end zone, Terry Richardson gets the kickoff. He heads to his right. Kirby Dardar comes around. The wall is already set up, and Syracuse University's taken advantage of that Florida team's speed. They overcommitted on the kickoff. They lost contain, and Kirby Dardar, who we heard might play today, actually plays in the first play of the game, Gary.
A remarkable beginning. Dardar has not carried the ball to the line of scrimmage. An exciting player out of Tampa, Thomas Jefferson High School.
And what a way to begin the game.
And the people in Florida probably wondering how do you end up here. Point after attempt now. John Biscup, who is perfect, 8 of 8. Prior to that one, makes it a 7-0 game. And this crowd, a sellout crowd in the Carrier Dome, has come to life here at homecoming 1991.
There's another look at it. We see Terry Richardson out of the left corner of your screen. You'll see Kirby Dardar come around. Well-executed handoff, and look at the Florida kickoff team. Good blocks, good cutback blocks there. The wall was set up, and Kirby Dardar takes off and scores a touchdown. You know, Gary, oddly enough, we asked the head coach, Paul Pasqualoni, if he would defer today if he won the coin toss, and he said, I think I'll receive. He didn't tell us he had this trick up his sleeve.
I think he'll receive the rest of the year with a beginning like that. Pasqualoni, unbeaten as the new head coach of the Orangemen, with a 2-0 record. And the people really haven't even arrived on the scene. They're still coming into the ballpark, and they missed an electrifying moment as Steve Spurrier's team now down 7-0. But if there's a team that can play catch-up, it's the Florida Gators.
Well, this should rattle the Florida fans a little bit today. The thing they have to be concerned about now, and a big concern of Steve Spurrier's, was that the crowd noise here could cause some problems. He was worried that if Syracuse got in the game early and did well, the crowd noise would create problems for his offense. We'll see whether or not Shane Matthews can audible, which he likes to do so much.
Here's one of the outstanding kickoff men of the country, Pat O'Neill, out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He's had only one kickoff returned all year long. Harrison Houston and Larry Kennedy will go back for the Gators. O'Neill last year had 47 of his 67 kickoffs not returned. This is Harrison Houston, and he'll down it. And the Gators will start from the 20-yard line. Shane Matthews, who has thrown 8 touchdowns in the first 2 games. The junior, who was the SEC Player of the Year. He'll be the man at the controls. He has an offensive line and a running back department that has a lot of weapons. Red, 170 yards last week. McNabb, solid fullback. Jackson, who was a former fullback, now playing tight end. Cal Dixon is probably the best center in the country. They have 4 starters back in that offensive line. This is Rhett. And Rhett crosses the 20 up to the 24. There's a late flag on the play. Jim Wentworth made the stop for the Orangemen. We'll have to sort this one out. Face mask. Let's set defensively now. The Orangemen. Rooks. They feel he has an NFL future. Mitchell, very focal in the middle. Lasardi taking the place of Dan Conley, who they lost for the year with a knee injury. And Dwayne Joseph already has 2 interceptions. He is another Florida product out of Miami. Penalty, moving it out to 30-yard line. First down. Shane Matthews in trouble. Breaks 1 tackle, and he's stormed at the 20. Kevin Mitchell, there he is. You're going to see a lot of number 50. He is vocal, continually jabbering in that defensive position and backing up. He's talking all the way.
Kevin Mitchell's giving up 40 pounds against Cal Dixon, the center for Florida, but he's very quick, and I think that large centers often have problems with nose guards who are extremely quick. Kevin Mitchell is a very active nose guard.
Loss of 9 on the play, just outside the 20-yard line. Very unusual beginning to this game. Handoff, and no place to go as Rhett. He is stormed down. Wentworth, 77. Garland Hawkins, 95. Met him in the hole, and that is a rude awakening when you're trying to run up the middle.
When we talk to Kevin Coyle, the defensive coordinator for Syracuse, he will look at it again. Look at Wentworth on the right side of your screen. He comes in, but George Rooks took an inside charge and made the tackle on the draw play.
3rd down, 15 yards to go. 7-0 Syracuse. Matthews with some pressure. Far side. Houston checked that. Trey Everett, the intended receiver. It was Greg Walker. Good coverage. And Florida's going to have to punt the football.
Outstanding defensive series by the Syracuse Orangemen.
Steve Spurrier, his team last year set 14 school records, 9 in the SEC offensively. This is Shane Edge, a true freshman out of Lake City, Florida, who pumped the football to Shelby Hill.
He has 2 kicks over 60 yards this year. Florida could use a big kick now.
An exceptionally good punch, and it does not take a Gator bounce. It's going to go out of bounds at the 43 of Florida. Syracuse will have it. They'll have their first snap. They also have a 7-0 lead.
Penn State, Washington battles Nebraska, or Georgia meets Alabama, tonight on ABC Sports.
Paul all, Pascalona starting this game out in a dramatic fashion. A 90-yard kickoff return started with Terry Richardson handing off to Dardar, and he then reversed to the far side of the field, 7-0, and after a 28-yard punt, Syracuse will have their first snap from the line of scrimmage from the 43 of the Gators.
Pasqualoni couldn't have scripted this any better, Gary.
Marvin Graves, last week, career high 251 yards passing, has Gedney, the tight end, lined up to the near side. That's a freeze option. Pitches back to Walker. He fortunately retrieves it. And Walker somehow gets back to the line of scrimmage. That could have been a disaster. And that's exactly what Syracuse can't do, is leave the ball on the floor. That's been a problem. As you look at Marvin Graves, there's the 251 yards we talked about. He's committed 6 turnovers. That's of great concern to the Orangemen. Wooten, a big bruising fullback. Ishmael, that's the Rockets' younger brother. Shelby Hill, J.D. Hill's son. Up front, only one returning starter from a year ago. That's Terrence Wisdom, the 296-pound guard. Second down, virtually 10 yards to go. Graves going to pull up and throw. Ishmael, and Ishmael takes it to the 25-yard line for a first down. Will White made the stop. Ishmael has been a new man after last week catching a career-high 6 passes for 141 yards. There's that defense. Watch Culpepper. He is something special at defensive tackle. And when you talk about linebackers, I tell you, John and I have talked about Tim Paulk all week long. He is absolutely one of the most ferocious players you'll see in college football. And in that secondary, Will White, who just made the tackle, had 7 interceptions a year ago. First down to the 26 of the Gators. Graves, Ishmael again, and he is very close to the first down. Larry Kennedy, the true freshman, over there to make the stop. And there's the game that some of you were seeing in the New York area earlier with Rutgers winning. Clemson, for that outstanding defense, leading and finally winning that one. So that will be, let's see, as they look to the far side, they're going to have to measure to see if, in fact, he got the first down. Ishmael is quite a story, John. He was considered to have suspect hands, but he's really come on.
He didn't catch a single pass last year. This year he worked extremely hard on catching the ball every day in practice. And I think what really happened in the opening game against Vanderbilt, he caught the very first pass thrown by the Syracuse offense this year. It seems like ever since then he's relaxed. He has outstanding speed, and already he's off to a good start today. So that should help his confidence.
Well, good bloodlines, huh? The Rocket now playing up in Toronto in the Canadian Football League. As you could see, the measurement indicating the first down. So he had a record day last week against Maryland and off very effectively in this one. First down to the 16. It'll be Hill and Ishmael split to the top. Syracuse with a 7-0 lead. Graves now changing the play. 6 seconds on the play clock. 5 with 4 with 3, and now goes on the option. And hurdles inside the 15 to the 13-yard line. Miles made the stop. Let's go to New York now. Here's Roger Twibble.
Kelly finds Mark Adams 10 yards for the touchdown with less than 2 minutes to go. And the Volunteers would hold off Mississippi State 26-24. And also to update you, Texas A&M has gone ahead of Tulsa 34-29. Let's go back to Gary.
Roger, thank you. Boy, Jackie Sherrill's team going on the road for the first time, but they gave the Vols a scare, didn't they?
They certainly are for real this year.
Second down and 7 for the Orangemen. Quarterback draw. Graves takes it to the 10. He's still 3 yards short of the first down. Tony McCoy made the stop. You can see what kind of problems Graves poses for a defense.
That's right. That's what we talked about at the opening of today's game. Marvin Graves has already shown that he can run the option, that he can pitch the ball, and that he can throw that option pass off the option. And that's what makes it so hard to defense him. One of the problems today for Florida's defense is that Syracuse is going to shift the ball, and Florida has to know who has contain on every option play.
Third down and 4, just short of the 10-yard line. Here comes Graves on the option. Pitches to Walker. To the 5. Walker, touchdown. Shaken up as Graves on the last instant pitching beautifully to Walker, who took it in from 10 yards out.
Well, that's what makes Graves is such an exciting player. He does that. That's why he turns the ball over sometimes. But the flip side of that is he can make plays like that.
Well, he staked his team to a 13-0 lead as the officials now have a timeout. If he can't go, they have an exciting sophomore out of Houston by the name of Doug Womack, who runs the option, and then they have Mark McDonald, who's been a big player for him through the years.
Mark McDonald stepped in last year and started 2 games for them, and Syracuse won both games.
Biscuit, right after attempt, and a stunner here early. Fifth-ranked Florida finds themselves down 14-0, and we still have 10:49 left to go.
Watch the pitch, and watch a tremendous block by Shelby Hill.
Tell your boss you're quitting?
Syracuse with a 14-0 lead, but John Spagnola, let's see what happened to Marvin Graves.
Marvin Graves is running the option once again. He starts to cut a little bit, and he wants to pitch the ball. He wants to attract defenders, and he hurts his right foot. Now, this could be a case of turf toe, which can be very painful. He might have twisted it right there where he fell down. Walker makes a great catch on the pitch, and at the right corner of your screen, you'll see Shelby Hill, who engages the defender and allows Walker to escape into the end zone.
That's one thing that Pascalona wants. His wide receivers must block. And Shelby Hill did that, as you just pointed out, and they're looking over Marvin Graves. That's the drive. In that drive, Graves carried twice for 27 yards. And that pitch, you mentioned what a great play David Walker made. That wasn't an easy catch, running like he was to catch it up above his body.
Well, we've seen 2 pitches already that have been troublesome pitches. Walker handled one, and he didn't handle the first one earlier in the game.
But what a stunner for Florida. They've had 3 downs and out, and they've been stunned. They're trailing 14-0 as O'Neal will kick off again. Harrison, Houston, and Larry Kennedy back for the Gators. Look at this kickoff. Does he get into him? They'll get on it, down it, and Florida will take it from the 20-yard. And what a weapon number 4 is. You just don't get a chance to return a kickoff.
It's very comforting as a defensive coordinator to know that opposing offenses are almost always going to start on the 20-yard line.
But don't kickers love to play in a dome?
Oh, yes, they do.
And so now Shane Matthews, down 14-0, will start this drive from the 20-yard line. It all began with an electrifying reverse on the kickoff that went 90 yards for a touchdown. Syracuse then moving at 43 yards and 6 plays to score again. Matthews to Rep. Very correct. Weaving his way out to the 22, a gain of 2. John Lasardi made the stop. The thing that's happening right now is that this Syracuse forward wall is doing an outstanding job against the run. And last week, Alabama had a tough time stopping Eric Rett.
Yes, they did. Eric Rett really got his motor cranked up in the second half. They have a big physical offensive line, Florida has, and they're going to try and wear down Syracuse's defensive front.
Led by Cal Dixon at center, 2nd and 8. Play action fake. Over the middle to Rett, coming out of the backfield, trying to get the first down. He's very close. Glenn Young, who is the leader of that inside linebacking spot, a pre-med student who calls all their defensive signals, made the stop, and they now indicate first down Florida. So their initial first down of the game.
Florida will get the ball to all of their receivers. Eric Rett, believe it or not, as a running back, is averaging 16 yards a catch.
What did you tell me? 16 guys have caught the ball on Florida's team in 2 games.
That's right. They have depth at every receiver position. That includes running back.
First down from the 30. Matthews with time. And he connects Alonzo Sullivan to the 50. First down to the 48 of the Orangemen. And all of a sudden now, this fun and gun offense starting to get on track. Lasardi again on the stop, along with Tim Sundquist, who is a free safety. At the conclusion of today's game, we'll be selecting a Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the Game from each team. And for the 21st year through the Chevrolet Scholarship Program, $1,000 will be donated to the General Scholarship Fund of each school. From the 49 of the Orangemen, Florida in the Syracuse end of the field for the first time. Complete to Rhett. And coming out of the backfield, he makes the catch to the 43, and that's twice now. They've had the play action fake, sent him up the gut, and thrown it to him.
That's right, they have, Gary. They also used Monty Duncan as a tight end there. We were told he'd be playing a little bit today for Terrell Jackson, particularly in passing situations. They were able to dump the ball off to Rhett once again.
Inside 9 minutes to go in the first quarter, the Orangemen of Syracuse, 18th ranked, leading 14-0. Pitch to Rhett. And Rhett has the first down with good effort, as he's able to move the pile to the 37-yard line. Glenn Young eventually making the stop. Rhett is out of Pembroke Pines, Florida. He had a suspect knee coming out of high school. He really wanted to play at Florida State. They wouldn't take a chance on him. And Steve Spurrier's glad he ended up in Gainesville.
Well, I'll tell you, for only a sophomore, he really shows tremendous amount of patience at the running back position. He's learning to wait until the hole develops before he hits it.
Rhett comes out. Willie McClendon replaces him at tailback. First down. Matthews, far side. The intended receiver is McClendon, who had just come in. JoJo Wooden, the linebacker, dropping back to cover it very effectively.
Florida tried to get a mismatch between a linebacker and a running back on that play. But JoJo Wooden played coverage extremely well.
What was it Steve Spurrier said? He thinks Shane Matthews can be the best quarterback he's ever had.
I think so, yes. Good action up front. Good protection by that big Florida offensive line.
George Rooks mixing it up a little bit there with Tony Rao, the offensive tackle. 2nd and 10. Being flushed out, Matthews, he's not known for his running. JoJo Wooden got a hand on it. He is a brother of Terry, who's playing with the Seattle Seahawks. And he's got range at 6'4", reached up and batted it away.
Florida tried to run the same play they ran previously, where they hit Alonzo Sullivan on a hook pattern. This time, Syracuse changed their defense up. And that's one thing Kevin Coyle said he wanted to do today. He wanted to give certain looks and then change those looks. He didn't want to disguise his coverages.
3rd and 10 for the Gators. 3 wideouts on the play. Matthews to McClendon. McClendon to the 25. First down to the 19. That has been their bread and butter play on this drive. 3 times they've thrown to the running back over the middle.
Brilliant call by Spurrier. It almost looked like a middle screen, but the linemen weren't involved. Florida took advantage. Florida takes advantage of the pass rush. We see a blitz by Lasardi, number 39. Nobody's in coverage on McClendon. He just sneaks through and gets the first down.
Willie McClendon, who led them in touchdowns a year ago, was 7 with an 18-yard grab. First down now to the 19. Hand up to Rhett. And Rhett takes it inside the 15, close to the 11-yard line. Tim Sandquist, one of the co-captains on the team, hit on the stop on Rhett. Is a 6-foot, 212-pounder. We're at the sold-out Carrier Dome. It's homecoming at Syracuse, and the Orangemen have taken this crowd and just elevated them up with emotion as they have an early 14-0 lead, taking the opening kickoff 90 yards for a touchdown and a drive of 63 yards, giving them a 14-0 lead. Here's a give to Rhett on 2nd down and about 2, and he's very close to the first down. We understand, John Spagnola, that Marvin Graves' injury was his foot was stepped on. He will return.
Well, that's good news for Syracuse. It would be devastating today if they lost Marvin Graves. I'm sure the whole offensive game plan was based on what he could do. And with the backup quarterbacks, one is a passer and one is an option runner, they really wouldn't be able to accomplish what they wanted to do offensively today without Graves in the lineup.
First down, you saw the stat a moment ago, how effective Florida is in the red zone. That's the 20-yard line in. Pitch to Rhett. Hits tough inside the 10. Kevin Mitchell met him there. Mitchell's like a linebacker. He runs so well and yet plays at nose guard at 6'1", 295 pounds out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And He will be all over the field. They will use him outside on a nickel rush from time to time. Second down, a gain of 2, 2nd and 8.
Marlon Hawkins, the outside linebacker, really stood up the tight end there and allowed Mitchell to make the tackle.
Boy, it's noisy in here, isn't it?
Oh, it certainly is.
And Matthews is trying to change the play. And 2 seconds on the play clock. Going to the end zone. Everett, touchdown. Trey Everett. That ball was beautifully thrown. And Trey Everett with his second touchdown catch of the season. He just disappeared from our sight.
He did. He was able to isolate Tony Montemora in one-on-one coverage. Shane Matthews fakes the play action here and holds the linebackers just a little bit. We have one-on-one coverage. Tony Montemora on Trey Everett. Trey Everett just beats him to the corner, and it's an excellent pass by Shane Matthews. It can't be thrown any better.
Trey Everett had a 57-yard catch, a big catch against Alabama last week. Point after attempt. Martin Krzyzewski comes in. He, along with Biscuit, 2 of the fine place kickers in college football, and he adds a point after it. So we've had a lot of football. 6:08 still left in the first quarter, and Syracuse leads it by 7. It's homecoming 1991 here at Syracuse University. The bonfire that they had last night as a sellout crowd today enjoying the early going for the Orangemen. 14-7 Florida scoring for the first time on an 80-yard drive in 9 plays. 7-yard touchdown pass from Matthews to Everett.
I wonder if the kickoff return unit has any more tricks up its sleeve, Gary.
You got to be cautious, don't you, if you're a Gator right now? Ryan Rulin will kick off again. This time it'll be Ishmael. Up the middle this time, and a big hole out to the 33, and their kickoff return is razor sharp. Well, Monday night, ABC Sports goes to Soldier Field for NFL excitement. The Chicago Bears against the Jets. Boy, the Bears are tough in the month of September, aren't they?
They hate to see the month of September end. They play extremely well in the month of September.
Well, they beat the Giants the last time. The Jets coming off a strong showing against the Bills. It all begins live at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on ABC's Monday Night Football. Graves is back in. That's good news for Syracuse. Pitch to Richardson out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Richardson gets some good yardage across the 35 to the 37. Del Spear made the stop.
What a great block by Kadri Ismail there. Here we'll see the option coming right at you. It's the freeze option. Take a look at Marvin Graves. He'll step back, allow the fullback to clear. Fullback comes through. They predetermine the fullback's not going to carry. He pitches immediately. Watch the block here by Kadri Ismail. He stays with it, stays with it, stays with it, and allows Walker to get more yards.
He just returned.
That was Richardson, I'm sorry.
He returned a kickoff 31 yards. Ismail became Syracuse's all-time kickoff return leader. This time, Wooten, a big, burly fullback straight ahead. He is out of Niagara Falls. He has 16 brothers and sisters. And he's kind of a thug, according to Pascalona, when it comes to blocking. He will mash you.
Yes, he will. And like I said, Gary, they like to predetermine whether or not the fullback is going to carry the ball. That's the first time the fullback has carried the ball today. They have to keep that defense aware of running the ball inside. 3rd and 1 for the Orangemen. Walker, Richardson in there. They have the bone this time. They go to the wishbone. Wooten is the man who is in the front of the bone. Flags everywhere. It's a handoff to Walker. Now, he got enough for the first down. Well, let's see what the penalty flags are all about. Florida was moving up front. And James Mostella of the SEC says offside Florida. So that will give Syracuse a first down anyway. Really a careless mistake jumping off sides in a 3rd and short situation, but it was inconsequential. Syracuse gained the first down anyway. And they only have a 29% 3rd down conversion ratio, so they need to convert the ball today we see what Florida can do offensively.
That's a good point. They were 3 of 13 against Maryland on 3rd down last week. However, they were gaining 8 yards a crack on 1st down. That's the amazing thing. It's almost a contradiction in itself. Now we're having an explanation. Maybe they wanted to take the run here rather than the penalty. Either way, they have the 1st down, and they're going to take the penalty now and wipe out the run.
We see Andrew Dees, the captain, a converted tight end who's playing offensive tackle, making that executive decision for the Syracuse offense.
Big executive decision. The kind they make on Wall Street every day, right?
That's right. That's right.
So at the 46, the Orangemen with a 14-7 lead. We've had an exciting first quarter. 4:30 left in it. Ishmael, Shelby Hill split to the near side. That's Ishmael in motion. Graves wanting to throw. Culpepper giving chase. Intended for Hill. And a flag. Larry Kennedy was hooked up with him at the 36-yard line. That's what makes the option so tough. You're running and you suck everybody up, and then you pull up and throw the football.
That's right, Gary. This last time we saw the freeze option. This is the reverse option. Marvin Graves reverses out, comes down the line of scrimmage. He fakes the option, then he drops back and throws the pass. It's great coverage by Kennedy. I don't know if they would have been able to complete the pass to Ismail anyway, but Kennedy got flagged for interference.
Steve Spurrier not all that happy. His team started.
Defense, 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. 1st down.
Marvin Graves had already reversed out. He's coming down the line of scrimmage. The pass play really isn't there, but he figures if he can throw it to the sideline, at the very least, it'll be an incompletion. Kennedy just gets his hand on it. I don't think that's interference.
Yeah, I didn't see it unless before he came into the picture they got tangled up, but I couldn't see that that was pass interference. Sets it up now. 1st down at the Gator 39. I started to say Spurrier's team started slow last week against Alabama, but Syracuse started slow last week, but they've reversed that today. Hand off to Richardson. Kerry Richardson, the 202-pound sophomore. He's wearing that hallowed number 44, and that is a great number. Ernie Davis, the late Ernie Davis, Jim Brown, Floyd Little, and they recruit. They say, if you're good enough, we'll let you come and wear number 44.
That's right. It's one of the perks that they dangle in front of their prize recruits. And head coach Paul Pasqualoni said that Terry Richardson is wearing that number with a great amount of pride.
And they have that at Yale, too, for you, right? Don't they have your number that way?
Oh, as soon as I got out of Yale, they gave it to the next guy who came along.
Gain of 2, 2nd and 8. That's Gedman, the tight end in motion. Graves in trouble. Just no place to go that time. And the reason is Brandon, Mike Brandon. He is 6'4", 279, the most experienced defensive lineman for the Gators. And Notre Dame is giving Michigan State fits. And Michigan State, of course, last week getting upset by Central Michigan. Loss of 5, and there is Central Michigan. Loss of 5. Graves that time just had no chance to get that option going at all.
No, he didn't. There was no motion on that play, and I think everybody on Florida knew their assignment on the option.
They have a trips formation, 3 men at the top of the field, and now Shelby Hill comes in motion to the near side. Graves back. Off the hands of Ishmael, almost intercepted. Excellent effort by Del Spear, number 4, who came flying up. Graves took a pretty good shot that time.
Yes, he did. And Graves has to realize he can't force the ball over the middle. And if he does, he can't throw a high pass. There's pressure on Graves here. Comes from Mike Brandon on the outside. He's working against John Capiccioni. Graves probably should have eaten that ball and just let his punter punt the ball away. Fortunately, he got away without an interception, Gary.
And so O'Neal will come in a punt. He had a 72-yarder last week. However, he started out kicking a 17-yarder, so he's been very inconsistent. Back deep is Monty Duncan, and he will not return that one. Let's see where they're going to mark it. As it goes out on the far side, they're going to mark it at the 15-yard line. So Florida will have it there, trailing by 7. O'Neal that time kicking it out on the far side. Coming up later tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, ABC's college football is back with more regional action. Some of you will see BYU take on Penn State, or Georgia facing the Crimson Tide of Alabama, or number 4 Washington meets Nebraska. Did you see where Nebraska, what they're averaging on the ground?
I don't think they'll be able to average that, though. 570 yards on the ground against a great Washington defense tonight.
They held Stanford to 28 yards. Matthews over the middle, complete to McNabb, the fullback, and he lunges forward for a gain of 6 and a late flag now, and it's away from the play. Looked like Glenn Young and Hesham Ishmael, an offensive guard for Florida, was tangled up. That was completely away from where the play was developing.
Actually, it's Kevin Mitchell getting into a scuffle again with Hesham Ishmael. He's the left guard for Florida.
Personal foul during the pass. Offense, half the distance to the goal.
We know Kevin Mitchell's very active, and he likes to talk a lot during the game. Last week, the official at the Maryland-Syracuse game grabbed him around the neck, walked him away, and said, "Kevin, shut up, or I'm going to throw you out of the game."
Well, he is that emotional when he plays the game. He is a rising star for the Syracuse team. He's leading them in tackles coming in, which is very unusual for a nose guard.
One of the things Kevin Coyle wants to do with his defensive linemen is stunt them and let them shoot the gaps against this Florida offensive line.
So the penalty now brings up 2nd down, 18 yards to go. Matthews from the end zone. A little hitch pass to Rhett. He goes nowhere. As Glenn Young, the savvy veteran out of Scarborough, Ontario, reacted well, and they lose 2 more yards. There's Young.
Whenever you see a tackle made on a screen play like that, more often than not, you'll have man-to-man coverage by the defense. Glenn Young was engaged in man-to-man coverage. Therefore, when the back faked the block, it didn't affect him at all.
2nd and 21 from the 5. Matthews keeping his own end zone. Out it comes, and he gets out of a big hole, complete to Rhett. It's not enough for the 1st down, but gives him some operating room as he brings it out to the 13-yard line. That was Montemora, Tony Montemora, the strong safety, number 28, who made the stop.
Well, Eric Redd is really a complete back, though, isn't he? He runs the football. He's caught everything thrown to him today. And he gets Florida out of a hole. At least they can try and convert now on 3rd and 12.
3rd and 12 is what it is. This crowd is on their feet. Mishandled snap. I think Matthews got it back. But it'll be 4th down, and Matthews is very fortunate he was able to come up with that one.
That you can only attribute to the Carrier Dome crowd, Gary. That kind of noise, even though Shane Matthews is very close to his center, Cal Dixon, he simply cannot hear him. Here's from the reverse angle. Matthews may have pulled out a little bit soon, because chances are Cal Dixon just didn't hear him. It's hard to believe they're just inches apart there, but it's very noisy here.
You saw Mitchell almost came up with it. He seems to be everywhere. Shade edge to punt the football to Shelby Hill, who had a 61-yard return for a touchdown last week. Beautiful punt. Hill driven back inside the 35. To the 45 and tackled there. And so Syracuse on excellent field position as we have come to the end of the 1st quarter. The Orangemen with a 14-7 lead. That was a 55-yard punt that time by Edge. We'll be back. Doug Womack, a sophomore out of Houston, who is their designated option quarterback, has come in. Now, whether Grays can't continue or not, usually what they do, John, is sneak him in on a 2nd or 3rd, but he's starting the series for Syracuse from their 46.
Doug Womack is very exciting, and I would be surprised if he did anything but run the option, but so far today, you can't predict anything for Syracuse.
He has not thrown a pass in 2 years. But he is so quick. He only weighs 166 pounds. Here he comes on the option. He's got Walker behind him. You see his speed, and with speed gets across the 50 to the 49. That was 5 yards on sheer speed.
Yes, he was. He had to belly it back a little bit to get around the defenders, but he was able to make a positive gain on that play.
So Womack, who has carrying the ball 6 times prior to that for 4 touchdowns, one of which was called back. Gains 5 yards here.
This is the freeze option once again. Womack comes down the line of scrimmage. Here he has the belly back around Brandon, though. Then he works upfield past Fee Bartley. And finally, Will White has to make the tackle.
Boy, he just kind of froze Bartley. Second down, 5 for the 49 now. And here is Womack. Almost got mixed up. Pitches back to Walker. He's going to throw. Wide open Shelby Hill. He can't get it. Oh, the play looked like it was never going to develop, and then almost ended up in 6 points.
Great penetration by the Gator defense there. Threw that play off a little bit. Shelby Hill, I believe, slowed down a little bit going for the ball. Watch Shelby Hill. Now here's supposed to set up the block here. He gets by. Now he's looking. He's trying to locate the ball.
You're
and
exactly
it's just off
right.
his fingertips.
John, you're exactly right.
He sprinted once he got past the defender. We'd have another 7 points for Syracuse. And they are pulling out all the stops today.
Are they ever? David Walker throwing the pass. Brings up 3rd and 5 now from the 49 of Florida.
And Graves is back in the game.
Yep. In motion now goes Hill. Graves stepping up. Nice catch by Ishmael, but it's short of the first down. Be 2 yards short. That'll bring up 4th down. Ishmael is catching everything and looks very good.
Yes, he does.
Hulk made the stop, the rugged linebacker, number 99. So Syracuse will have to punt the football. But, John, you made a really good point on Shelby Hill. And he just run. He was in. There was nobody to stop him.
Well, I'm wondering why he was looking over his outside shoulder. Maybe the ball was supposed to be thrown as a corner pattern. I'm not sure. But at the very least, it's a lot easier to adjust back to the football than it is to run downfield and catch the ball.
Pat O'Neill to punt the football from the Syracuse 40. Monty Duncan goes back for the Gators. He's angling for the corner. And I don't know where they're going to mark this one. They're walking up. Mitchell continues to walk across the 10, still walking. To the 15, the crowd booing as he continues up and comes to a stop at the 18-yard line.
The fans want to fire the surveyor on that punt.
It ends up being a 28-yard punt, strategically placed by O'Neill. And as you look at the stats after 1 quarter, what doesn't show is that 90-yard kickoff return.
That's exactly right. Florida has the edge in yards passing. Syracuse is about even in passing and running. The thing Syracuse has enjoyed today is tremendous field position starting every one of their drives.
They started at the 32 and 46, and now from the 18, the Gators. McClendon and Kelvin Randolph in the backfield. Matthews on target. Alonzo Sullivan takes a real shot from Dwayne Joseph. Sullivan was ineligible during the spring because of academics, but he started now the first 3 games for Florida.
Well, they're giving Sullivan a lot of cushion. Dwayne Joseph pedaling back. He's in the zone, but with the play action, you see JoJo Wooden can't get over to get underneath to force the pass a little bit higher, so it's an easy completion for Florida.
13-yard gain, first down to the 31. 14-7, Syracuse in the lead. Matthews back. This time it's Randolph, the fullback. Makes the catch at the 35 and gobbled up there by Glenn Young and company. Randolph alternates that fullback spot with McNabb. He is a sophomore out of Tallahassee. Line of scrimmage will be the 36. It'll be 2nd down and 5. There is Young, and he's missing his cohort, Dan Conley. The other inside linebacker is out for the year with a knee injury. Handoff to McClendon. McClendon just short of the first down. It'll bring up 3rd and a yard. Knocked down at the 40 by John Lasardi. McClendon is a guy who came out of high school. Ballyhood is the 2nd best running back since Emmitt Smith, who of course now playing for the Cowboys, but he's had to be a backup, waiting to play behind Eric Rett.
Oddly enough, he has 1,500 career yards in a backup capacity, but he has had to back up Emmitt Smith for 2 years and Eric Rett last year and this year. But he's still a very good back, and Spurrier thinks he's going to get drafted.
3rd down and 2 officially now for the Gators. McClendon. And he's got the first down. Lowered the head, and that was enough. Walker and Young combining on the stop, and the Gators have a new series as they keep the drive going. 11:55 left in the 2nd quarter. There's
Steve
Spurrier.
Spurrier likes to get the ball to all of his players.
Look at the balance they have.
He has about a 50-50 run-to-pass ratio. Usually he likes to run the ball about 6 times and throw it about 4 times, but this game has dictated a little different scenario.
They can run it. Most people think of their offense as passing only. Matthews back over the middle. It's McClendon again to the 50, and there's no question Florida really in the film saw something. They've gone to that back coming out of the backfield, hit him over the middle. That's the 4th time. That's the first down to the 46-yard line.
Well, Shane Matthews is a very patient quarterback. He understands Steve Spurrier's offense extremely well, and he's not afraid to take the little dump-off pass. Here's Mitchell. Now he's trying to just bull rush Cal Dixon there. It's not going to happen. Kevin Mitchell has to shoot a gap if he's going to get any penetration upfield.
12-yard gain to the 46 of the Orangemen. Matthews getting time. Sullivan, did he get it? They're going to rule he caught it. Alonzo Sullivan, a nice diving catch at the 35-yard line. It was Joseph again defending on the play, and the guy from Largo, Florida has made 2 fine catches on the near sideline.
From the end zone on your left side, you'll see Alonzo Sullivan once again working on Dwayne Joseph. Dropping back in the zone is Syracuse. Just a terrific catch, laying out, looking the ball in, and making the catch.
Beautiful catch. From the 35, the Gators, after that 12-yard gain. Matthews, Monty Duncan, intercepted, Matamora. Tony Matamora. Hayes tackled at the 26 as the ball went off of Monty Duncan. And Matamora, who returned a fumble against Vanderbilt for a touchdown, picks off the pass. And that stops Steve Spurrier's run and gun offense.
Monty Duncan would be used in the tight end position today, especially on passing plays. He tried to get down the middle in what looked to be a 2-deep zone.
Matamora with a 13-yard return, and Syracuse protecting a 7-point lead.
Oh, he looked.
Syracuse stopping the last drive on an interception by Matamora. We're going to look at it again, John.
Monty Duncan lined up at the tight end. It probably was a 2-deep zone. 2-deep zones are vulnerable down the middle. The ball may be a little bit high. We see Sandquist just light up Monty Duncan, and Matamora makes another turnover. Matamora is always in the right spot as a safety.
So the Orangemen have it just across their 25. Graves is the quarterback. 14-7. Syracuse with the lead. 11 minutes left in the first half. Graves throwing. Catch by Hill. Nice catch by Shelby Hill. First down. You know, that ball came out of a hole. You could not see Graves, and somehow he got it between the defenders and completed the pass.
It's hard to...
Well, if you joined us late, we're going to go back and show you the key play. The first play of the game, a 90-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. This is how it all started. Terry Richardson started up the field, and Kirby Dardar, a redshirt freshman out of Tampa, went down the far sideline, and 90 yards later, Syracuse had jumped to an early 6-0 lead. And this crowd, sellout crowd, has been excitable ever since. Here's a pass now by Graves, almost picked off. Myrick Anderson, the bandit back, coming up, intended for Antonio Johnson, and that was an air 6.
That just looked like a 3-step drop. Get the ball out quickly, but Myrick Anderson, who plays on the boundary side, he's called a bandit back for this Gator defense, really buzzed to his zone and almost picked the ball off.
He's been pressed into a starting job because Monty Groh was suspended before last week's Alabama game for the year, and so Myrick Anderson has taken over. From the 40-yard line, 2nd and 10. Graves, sprint draw. Looking. Complete to Gedney. And Gedney has the first down. And they think Gedney could be the best tight end they've ever had at Syracuse. Polk and Anderson combined on the stop. And Gedney coming up with his 6th catch of the year after catching 24 last season.
Gedney is a rangy tight end. He's really improving as a blocker. He has good hands, good height, and he's a great target. The play action to Richardson set that completion up to Chris Gedney.
They had so much confidence in him that Andy Dees, who shared the tight end spot, has been moved to the starting right offensive tackle spot. First down after 12-yard gain. Here's a handoff to Richardson. Richardson for 6. Tim Falk making the stop. You can see why they like Richardson. He is kind of a slasher. Sometimes, though, he has a tendency to look for a bigger play rather than just getting what he can get out of each play.
That's
Always
true.
looking for the big one.
We saw Richardson last week against Maryland try and cut back a little too often. But he has a little more speed than David Walker.
Top 3 teams idle today. Of course, you'll see Florida State and Michigan next week here on ABC.
I'm just keeping it flex like this.
Second down, 6. Graves, Hill, wide open, first down, and wrestled backwards, but they'll give him the first down just short of the 30-yard line. Larry Kennedy over there, and Shelby Hill, who didn't catch a pass last week, has now started to get open for the Syracuse team.
Here we are from the reverse angle. Shelby Hill will be at the bottom of your screen. He split out very wide. Marvin Graves throws the ball, hits him right where he should be caught. Shelby Hill turns upfield for the first down. You know, Shelby Hill was a little shaky on that first catch. I think he's settled down. When you don't catch a pass for 2 weeks, sometimes you're unsure of your hands. He was a little shaky on that first one. That ball he caught very cleanly.
His dad, J.D. Hill, a great receiver for Arizona State and the Buffalo Bills, in attendance. We saw him before the game. Hand off to Richardson on a first down. He's to the 30, to the 25, and bends it for a first down to the 22-yard line. Will White, Myrick Anderson combining on the stop, and Syracuse really mixing it up well.
Richardson running well out of the I formation. We'll look at it from the side. Good blocking up front, good lead block by the fullback. Richardson cuts it around, finds the opening. But right here is where he cuts back against the grain. I'm not sure if he would have been better off cutting to the left. It's easy for me to say. I was never a running back.
But a good runner at tight end. Gain of 13 from the 23-yard line. Hand off Richardson. And Richardson stopped at about the 20-yard line.
That's a little counterplay that they run off the option.
Ed Robinson, who is a brother, by the way, of Dexter McNabb, one of the fullbacks for the Gators, there to make the stop. They like him a lot. They alternate him with Miles and Polk in that inside linebacking spot. Well, I'll tell you, Jackie Sherrill gave the Vols a scare. What a job he's doing in Starkville.
He's certainly showing everybody that his Mississippi State team is for real.
Oklahoma continuing to have a pretty soft schedule early. They'll start getting ready for that Texas game. Second down now, 8.
Here's a blitz.
Graves. Catch is made by Antonio Johnson, the Big East indoor sprint champion. And he's got a first down just short of the 10.
Here we see Antonio Johnson. It's blitz coverage, so he's one-on-one on Del Spear. Runs a nice hook route. Marvin Graves puts the ball a little bit over the outside shoulder. That's fine. A completion and a first down.
I'll tell you, Graves really sorting the passes around. Hill, Ishmael, and now Johnson. He's 7 of 10 for 75 yards.
Doing exactly what he had to do today.
Gedney and Barker double tight end alignment. First down outside the 10. Graves hands to Richardson to the 5. Maybe not quite to the 5. It'll bring up second down there. I'm impressed by Syracuse's inexperienced offensive line, how they're blowing some people off the ball right now.
Well, part of the problem is, at least for Florida's defense, is Graves is so mobile at the quarterback position, they're not sure where the ball's going on any given play. So I think they're playing a little tentatively right now.
Arizona State, who beat Oklahoma State last week, leading USC in the early going. They marked them all at the 7. Gain of 4, second and 6. Antonio Johnson late arriving on the scene. 9 seconds on the play clock. The crowd getting to their feet now. 5 seconds on the play clock. On the second and 6 with 2, and all kinds of movement. Looked like Dees, the right offensive tackle, left prematurely.
That play looked like it was doomed from the beginning, didn't it? Sometimes you should just take the timeout.
Isn't that true, though? It snowballs on you. Once somebody gets there late, the continuity really breaks down.
That's right. Looks like Syracuse wanted to take advantage of something Florida was showing them there defensively, Gary, but they weren't able to get the ball called.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, repeat second down.
Boy, and you get in that red zone, though, you don't want to get the penalties. Now it's second down and 11. Line of scrimmage out to the 12. Their field goal kicker, Bishop, has been perfect this year. He's 4 of 4. Should they resort to that? This is Johnson in motion. Graves on the option to the short side of the field, takes a real shot from Myrick Anderson. Vicious hit. And Graves opting to the near side, the short side, couldn't get the defense strung out at all.
Here comes the option right at you. We saw Myrick Anderson play really well in pass defense, almost intercepted a pass in the first quarter. Here he comes down the line. He has the quarterback in the option, and he makes a vicious tackle. Ooh. Sending a message not to come his way anymore.
3rd and 13 now, as Walker, David Walker, and Terry Richardson come into the backfield for Paul Pascalona's team. Gedney to the near side. Johnson and Hill to the top of the picture. Graves trying to get the corner. He has a corner to the far side. Touchdown catch by Antonio Johnson. What a play.
This is similar to the play that Trey Everett ran for a touchdown. Just a corner route to the slot receiver. Let's take a look at it. From behind, you're behind Marvin Graves here. Good block by the fullback, allows him to get around the corner. We see Antonio Johnson in the corner of your screen. Ball's laid out beautifully. Larry Kennedy cannot get there in time as he drops back in coverage.
They must have had a busted pattern. Both Hill and Johnson are almost shaking hands when the ball arrived there. But Johnson, his first touchdown catch of his career. And it's a 20-7 game. Biscuit, point after. 21-7. And the Syracuse team, who last week started so slowly against the Terrapins of Maryland, have come out of the chute, and they have stunned this Florida team. They lead it by 14.
Getting to know you.
Antonio Johnson out of Detroit, Pershing High School, with a 13-yard touchdown catch, the first of his career at Syracuse. And the Syracuse team back up on top by 14.
I can't say enough about George Delio, the offensive coordinator.
Let's look now at the reverse angle, John, and see how Hill and Johnson ended up almost shaking hands.
Not only that, Walker, who played the fullback position there, winds up making a great block. Hill is open on Kennedy, and Antonio Johnson runs the corner pattern against Will White. Somehow he got single coverage. Unfortunately, Hill almost brought his coverage into the play, and that could have been a deadly mistake for Syracuse.
Harrison, Houston, and Larry Kennedy will receive the kickoff from O'Neal if he keeps it in the field of play, and this one will be. Larry Kennedy, the true freshman out of Sarasota, brings it up to the 27-yard line. And the Gators will set it up there. That was Matt Greco, a reserve linebacker, making the tackle. Jay Matthews coming in 11 of 15 now, 106 yards, 1 touchdown, and also 1 interception.
Well, with the exception of the interception, he's played well today, and I'm sure that Steve Spurrier is thinking with 5 minutes and 22 seconds left that if they can march the ball down the field and get 3 points or 7 points, they'll be right back in this ball game. We know that they can score points in the third quarter. We saw it last week.
And they've been a great second-half club. They scored in the first 4 possessions last week against Alabama in the second half. Pass to McNabb, the big fullback, and he just runs all the way to the Florida end of the field. Finally out of bounds, should say the Syracuse end of the field to the 49-yard line, and that'll go as a 24-yard gain. Boy, is he a load in the open field.
When you can throw the ball 8 yards downfield and have your fullback break it for that many yards, it's definitely a safe, high-percentage offense.
Wow, 233-pounder, Dexter McNabb.
He shook away a linebacker there, though.
Did he? Like he wasn't even there. Sprint draw handoff to Rhett, and Rhett gets a couple of yards. Kevin Mitchell again on the stop. JoJo Wooden. Time 5 minutes exactly left in the second quarter. 21-7, the Orangemen. Red has 8 carries now for 23 yards. He's had to work hard for them. Terrell Jackson along with Harrison Houston's put to the near side. 4 wideouts. Matthews with time and a nice catch by Sullivan. His 3rd of the game. Good coverage that time by Dwayne Joseph. But Sullivan hanging on and making the catch and picking up the first down. Well, it all started in a sensational fashion. Dardar on a reverse, 99 yards for a touchdown. Walker on a 10-yard touchdown run, made it 14-0. Then Trey Everett on a fine throw from Shane Matthews. Cut it. And then a moment ago, Antonio Johnson, 13-yard touchdown catch. And it's back up to a 14-point lead for Syracuse. 10-yard gain on the last play. Matthews going deep. Catch is made. A remarkable catch is made by Aubrey Hill. Touchdown. What a catch. Now, wait a minute. The officials are going to confer on this one. Aubrey Hill, a freshman out of Miami, a redshirt.
He just jumped over the cornerback there. And there's a discussion between the officials as to whether or not he had his feet in bounds. From the end zone, we'll see the replay. And the discussion may be whether or not he goes out of bounds and comes back in to catch the pass.
He did.
The receiver went out of bounds, came back in and caught the ball. The penalty is previous spot, loss of down.
We had this situation a couple of weeks ago against Arkansas, Miami. Dick Vermeil did the game, and he talked to a lot of officials, and we got several rulings about it. The way they ruled about it today is that the play was definitely out of bounds. Matthews is not very happy about this.
Shane Matthews went running all the way from the line of scrimmage to the end zone, thinking he had a touchdown, then having it wiped away. As an end result, 2nd down.
Now, my understanding of the rules that you can come back in bounds, and your feet don't have to originate in bounds.
Well, they wipe it off, forget the touchdown. Matthews back. In trouble. And that is Garland Hawkins on the sack. A loss of 5. Matthews been getting very good protection, but that time Hawkins, who lines up usually over the tight end, put some real heat on.
Well, he's pass rushing, and Matthews isn't near the athlete that Marvin Graves is. He can't escape the rushes easily. And what an emotional roller coaster for Florida. They go from almost a touchdown now to giving up a sack, and Steve Spurrier is definitely upset on the sideline.
3rd down now, 15. Matthews on the play action, got a lot of time, overthrown and almost intercepted. Willie Jackson, the intended receiver, Tim Sandquist, almost had the 2nd interception of the day.
There was a bit of a lull in the crowd there during the 2nd quarter as the fans were settling in, but it's noisy here again in the Carrier Dome.
And of real concern to Florida, it reverberates off of the ceiling as now edges in to punt the football, hits it high. Shelby Hill's going to let it hit. And Florida, did they save it? No, they did not. Touchback, brings it out to the 20. The Orangemen of Syracuse, 21. The Gators of Florida, 7.
When you buy a Super Color...
Coming up at halftime on the Prudential Halftime Report, Roger and Bo bring you the latest college football news, scores, and highlights. Plus, Roger will speak with Michigan head coach Gary Moeller about last week's dramatic win over Notre Dame, including the 4th-and-1 touchdown to Desmond Howard, and the Wolverines date with Florida State next Saturday. Okay, we're going to go back to this touchdown that was wiped off to Aubrey Hill. And, John, you've got a point here.
Well, Aubrey Hill gets pushed out of bounds. That's okay. And he's out of bounds, and his feet can start out of bounds as long as after he catches the pass, his feet land inbounds. It's a touchdown. No, that left foot landed out of bounds.
That
so
was
a moot point, Gary.
But the point you made is that the pros, that's right, The pros, you can't go out and come back in. In college, you can. That's
right.
what people get confused about. But what that did confirm is his foot did come out of bounds, so it was a good call. We weren't sure it did.
On that right foot, it would have been a touchdown.
That's right. All right, from the 20. Marvin Graves and the Orangemen leading by 14. 3:14 to go in the first half. Kevin Barker, the tight end, goes in motion. Hand off to David Walker. They call this guy a coach's dream. He's so loyal, so consistent. Not fancy, just gets the job done.
It looks to me like Syracuse is happy with a 14-point lead. They went to a 2 tight end offense there, and they just wanted to hand the ball off. Maybe they just want to go into halftime. But look at that starting field positions. 42, 32, 46, and 26.
And they led in this game before they took a snap.
That's right. That's pretty good starting position, too,
Yes,
isn't it, on the scoreboard?
Opening kickoff for 90 yards. Second down, 6. Graves, handing off to Walker. To the 45. He's to the 50, and David Walker eventually wrestled down by Harvey Thomas into the Florida bench. He was still going when they got him over there.
He was tackled pretty far out of bounds there. The Syracuse fans want to call.
And right now, where's David Walker? He's disappeared. What a run by Walker, the junior out of Rochester, New York.
Great blocking by the offensive line. They're really getting their confidence here. Just a simple I formation lead play. David Walker with a brilliant cut in the open field here. Makes the defender miss and breaks in the open field. Covers the ball nicely. Now I'm wondering if he gets... I don't think the defenders really knew they were out of bounds.
And the Gatorade goes flying. And now the officials are going to step off 15 yards against Florida.
Oh. Florida's becoming unraveled here. We saw it earlier.
Late hit, out of bounds, 15 yards, first down.
They do call the late hit then, Gary.
David Walker's got over 1,000 yards rushing in his career. He only needed 38 coming into this game, and he got 27 of them there, along with that 10-yard touchdown run earlier. So he's off very big in this game for the Syracuse team.
The defensive defenders on that play, I don't know if they really knew where they were on the field, but the penalty was called.
Walker, 4 carries, 41 yards. First down, tack on 15 more. End around reverse, Ismail. He's got some room. He's to the 25, to the 20, and out of bounds at the 16-yard line. There is a flag, however, at the 25.
Syracuse ran this play 2 weeks ago, and Ismail scored his first touchdown of the year on it. This time they run the reverse again. Let's watch Ismail. He steps forward, he comes back. Gray's running down the line. The pitch almost looks like it's going to Walker, but instead it goes to Qadri Ismail. See if we can pick up the penalty here somewhere.
I think Wooten was trying to throw a block and may have clipped.
During the run, clip, offense, 15 yards from the spot of the clip, first down.
So that'll move it back to the 40-yard line.
You just see the freeze option all over again. We've seen it today. Pitch looks like it's going to Walker, and look at the Florida defenders. Look at number 38. Here's where we have the clip called. Now the clip was already called. It wasn't on 38, and I couldn't pick it up, Gary.
So it was not on Wooten, but it was a clip at the 40. Here is Womack, who's checked in at quarterback. You got to watch for him. They'll sneak him in, and he sneaks to the 36-yard line where he's tackled there. Brad Culpepper, coming off his finest game of his career last week, made the stop. He's the vice president of the student body at Florida. As Womack and Graves, that's a real handful for any defense. You get those two guys in there as Graves comes back into the lineup. Steve Spurrier saying, let's get this thing into the locker room. Let's revamp. He's very good at making adjustments, and he's going to have to make some in the second half.
And he's going to have to rely on leadership from players like Culpepper to get his team back in the game.
Second down, 11. They're going to run out of time, delay a game. I don't think Graves got timeout called. I don't think, or did he? Maybe he did. Boy, it was close.
Actually, Qadri Ismail called a timeout just in time.
So they are able to get the timeout just before the play clock expired. And so Syracuse will have a 2nd and 11 with 1:33 left in this half. Now, if they could get another 5 yards, they could have a crack at a 47-yard field goal. We'll be back with the conclusion of the first half in a moment. Gary Bender, John Spagnola. We have 1:33 left in the first half. 2nd and 11 for Syracuse. They have 2 timeouts remaining. They have a field goal kicker in Biscuit, who's kicked 148, and they feel he could kick 160 yards if he had to. So it'll be interesting to see what they call here. They try to position themselves, or whether they're still thinking 6. Graves. He's going for all of it. Touchdown. Ishmael.
Once again, Syracuse caught Florida in a blitz, man-to-man situation. Lawrence Hatch on the coverage, single coverage. If you live by the blitz, you die by the blitz. What a throw and catch. What great execution by the Syracuse offense here in the first half. Look at Ismail. As I said, there's a blitz on, so he has single coverage on Lawrence Hatch. Hatch is already running deep. Tries to get a hand check on Ismail, but it doesn't work. And there's no substitute for speed, and that's a perfect example of it right there.
You can see why Ishmael was the Big East indoor hurdles champion, the way he was running there. Bishop adds a point after, and this is a shocker. A real shocker, 28-7. As you mentioned, John, beautifully executed. Graves to Ishmael.
Here's Graves. He drops back. He has plenty of time so he can step up and deliver. And he knows he's thrown a good ball here. Ismail just rammed that pass down. Sometimes you can catch passes with your legs, and he did it in that instance. Marvin Graves is a very happy man, and he's doing everything he had to do today in order for Syracuse to be winning this ball game.
Well, his brother, the Rocket, would be proud of it. The missile was absolutely launched on that play. You know, the interesting thought that comes to mind is that Florida's playing with a junior college transfer and a true freshman at the corners, and they are running into a team with 2 track performers in Johnson and Ishmael, and they're having a tough time staying with them. Tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern, ABC's college football back, as you'll see BYU take on Penn State or Georgia, facing the Alabama Crimson Tide. Or number 4 Washington meets Nebraska from Lincoln. Best is here tonight on ABC Sports. O'Neal kicking off to Houston and Kennedy. A little mix-up, but it'll be Harrison-Houston. And he's out to the 25-yard line.
And a rare return ball against Syracuse.
And so Florida, with all 3 of their timeouts remaining, have the football at their own 25-yard line and 1:19 remaining. Well, Florida last week played very well in the second half against Bama. They're going to have to do it today. Pass to Harrison, 5 yards, 6, 7, 9 yards on the play. Just short of the first down. They're going about a huddle.
Matthews uses his first timeout.
Yep, and there is the timeout by Matthews. They have 2 remaining. 1:07 left in the game. As you look at this game, I would assume probably, John, one of the real things that was not calculated is how fast Syracuse is. Everybody talks about how fast Florida is, but we've seen great speed by the Orangemen.
Well, Florida has overall team speed offensively and defensively, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. But at the skill positions, Syracuse can match up with team speed. Their wide receivers, Shelby Hill and Kadri Ismail, are as fast as the wide receivers for Florida. And Florida's defense has been juggling their cornerbacks for 3 games now. We see it's Bill Hatch who was burned on that touchdown. He's playing today. Against San Jose, they gave up over 300 yards passing. And Lawrence Hatch, I'm sorry, was beaten on that play. So clearly they have some problems at the cornerback position. And all they really try to do, Gary, is tell the corners to just play pass defense. But even that hasn't worked so far today.
Shane Matthews, who tossed his 9th touchdown pass, but also suffered his 4th interception. Used his first time out. He gained 9 on the last play. 2nd and 1 from the 35. Minute 7 left in the half. Complete to McClendon. And that'll be a first down. And he gets out to the 44-yard line. Dwayne Joseph made the stop. We'll stop the clocks to move the sticks as Florida will go without a huddle. Willie Jackson is checked in, a sophomore out of Gainesville. 10-yard gain on the last play, 56 seconds. Complete to Hill, who had the touchdown taken away a while ago. Out of bounds. Line of scrimmage, the Syracuse 48. Montemore over there to make the stop. That stops the clock with 49 seconds left in the half. That's the thing about Florida. If you want to have a team that can play catch-up football, the Gators can do it.
That's right, they can. They're just nursing the ball down the field right now, but if they get into plus territory, they'll take some shots at the end zone.
2nd down, 2, a gain of 8. Blitz coming. Over the middle, almost intercepted. Sandquist was on his knees, and all of a sudden the ball was staring him in the face, and he couldn't react quickly enough.
But Tony Jones bumped Aubrey Hill as he slanted in there and threw him off his pattern. Shane Matthews had already let the ball go. It was right before the ball was thrown, actually, so it wasn't interference. But that's what rattled that play right there, and it threw the timing off.
Matthews already has thrown 23 passes in this game. 45 seconds left in the first half. 28-7. Syracuse leading 5th-ranked Florida.
They have to convert the first down here, too.
3rd and 2. He got it. It's Rhett. And Rhett gets him within field goal range as he goes down at the 31-yard line. Glenn Young made the stop there. You see the time stop momentarily as they move the sticks again. A 17-yard gain on the play. Boy, I tell you, this is where Steve Spurrier's teams always are so efficient. No huddle offense. They can move the length of the field in a hurry. Mishandled snap from center. Flag on the play. Matthews just throws it away. A lot of movement on the line.
Well, this crowd is in a frenzy, and once again we have problems with the quarterback-center exchange for Florida.
There he is, Arden Krzyzewski, who is 3 of 4. He kicked a career-long 48 last week. Let's look at the snap again.
Looks like Cal Dixon just didn't get the ball up, or it was a little bit to the right side of Shane Matthews' hands. Shane Matthews was headsy enough to pick the ball up and still try and make a play out of it. He couldn't. He threw the ball away. That's why Steve Spurrier likes him so much as a quarterback.
It was offside Syracuse, so it's 1st and 5. At the 26 with 25 seconds left in the half. Matthews a flag, and he's going to be sacked. Garland Hawkins was there first. Also Ernie Davis-Brown. Ed O'Rourke. And timeout, Florida. I saw the flag on the line of scrimmage the far side, so let's see what that's all about.
Garland Hawkins beat Mark White for the sack on that play, but I would have to call that a covered sack more than anything else. Shane Matthews did have some time to set up and throw the ball downfield. Nobody was open. He held the ball a little too long, and Hawkins made the sack.
Loss of 9 on the play. Syracuse indicating it's against Florida.
On the left side of your screen, Mark White battling with Garland Hawkins. He gets around the edge. He stands him up.
On the offense,
that pass rush from the blind side is always tough for the quarterback.
Illegal procedure, and of course after the 9-yard loss, Syracuse will refuse the penalty, and so the line of scrimmage will be at the 36.5-yard line, and it makes it an awfully long field goal now. You're talking over 50 yards with 17 seconds left in the half. To 7, Syracuse with the lead. Matthews, very cool, throwing far side. It's Hill again, and Hill caught it this time. And this one will stand. Shane Matthews took a real shot. He's getting up slowly, but he'll be all right. They go right back to Hill, the same place, almost identical play, and this time it counts.
Watch the shot. as Shane Matthews takes on this play. If you're a quarterback, you have to stand tall in the pocket and deliver the pass. Shane Matthews knows he's going to get hit here, but he delivers a perfect strike to Aubrey Hill back in the same corner of the end zone where he almost scored a touchdown before. A little hesitation move here by Aubrey Hill on Greg Walker.
And with
it really concentrates on the football for the touchdown.
Excuse me, John, with 8 seconds left, they get on the board, they add the point after, and it really changes the game to be down by 14 instead of 3 touchdowns. 28-14 is the count. A 36-yard touchdown pass from Matthews to Hill. And for Matthews, his 2nd of the day, his 10th of the season.
Gary, when I said there was just a little more than 2 minutes left in the game, Syracuse would be happy with a 14-point lead. Little did I expect at that point that both teams would wind up scoring a touchdown.
Don't forget the Prudential halftime report. Oshim Beckler, Roger Twyble will be in New York, and also Gary Moeller, coach of the 3rd-ranked Wolverines of Michigan. And he'll be talking about that date with the Noles, the Seminoles of Florida State, a game you'll see next week here on ABC. Matthews has 220 yards passing, 18 of 25, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. What a spectacle this is here at the Carrier Dome. Sellout crowd. At times it's been deafening in here. What was it the Gators said? They don't play well on artificial surface.
That's true. That's right. Well, you wonder sometimes if that hangs in the minds of the players. Shane Matthews was the one who said that he hated to play on AstroTurf, and he's playing an exceptional game today.
Kind of a knuckleball. Ishmael will come up with it. And he's still on his feet. 35-40. What a first half he's had. He's tackled at the 40-yard line, and that brings us to the end of the first half. And what a first half it's been. The Orangemen of Syracuse, who led 14-7 after 1 quarter, now leading it 28-14. The Orangemen.
Brought to you by Lexus and the new ES300 Sports Sedan. And by UPS, now offering 10:30 a.m. guaranteed overnight air delivery.
Well, this game started in dramatic fashion. Opening kickoff, Kirby Dardard, 90-yard kickoff return. Made it 7-0. Syracuse on David Walker's 10-yard run, up 14-0. Then Florida got on the scoreboard. Trey Everett on a 7-yard touchdown catch from Shane Matthews. That's the way it stood after 1 quarter. Syracuse coming right back. Antonio Johnson, 13-yard touchdown catch, the first of his collegiate career. And then Ishmael. This was a 36-yard grab, made it 28-7, and then with 8 seconds left in the half, Matthews hit Aubrey Hill from 36 yards out, and that's where we are right now. 440 yards of total offense.
Brought to you by Lexus and the new ES300 Sports Sedan. And by UPS, now offering 10:30 a.m. guaranteed overnight air delivery.
Well, this game started in dramatic fashion. Opening kickoff, Kirby Dardard, 90-yard kickoff return. Made it 7-0. Syracuse on David Walker's 10-yard run, up 14-0. Then Florida got on the scoreboard. Trey Everett on a 7-yard touchdown catch from Shane Matthews. That's the way it stood after 1 quarter. Syracuse coming right back. Antonio Johnson, 13-yard touchdown catch, the first of his collegiate career. And then Ishmael. This was a 36-yard grab, made it 28-7, and then with 8 seconds left in the half, Matthews hit Aubrey Hill from 36 yards out. And that's where we are right now. 440 yards of total offense. Paul Pascalona on the right in his first year as head coach of the Orangemen, and Steve Spurrier in his second year as a head man of the Florida Gators. And thus far, John, no one's proved they can stop anybody.
Both teams have executed flawlessly on offense with the exception of 1 interception thrown by Shane Matthews.
O'Neal kicking off. It's going to be Harrison Houston. He'll take it out of there. Houston runs into a lot of trouble. He probably should have downed it for the touchback. He dropped at the 15-yard line. Matamora was down there first. Let's look now at those 440 yards of total offense. Nobody running the ball. Look at Florida, 3 yards rushing in the first half.
Well, Florida's been really forced to throw the ball a lot toward the end of the first half. But the total offense is pretty close, Gary, and we're on pace for 400-yard days by both offenses.
Ishmael in that first half had 132 yards of total offense. So Matthews in a catch-up mode for the Gators. Complete to McNabb, the fullback, and he's dragged down by JoJo Wooden. So they continue to throw to the backs coming out of the backfield. That's been their best weapon thus far in the game. Let's look now at Florida's leaders. Matthews with the 2 touchdowns, however, 2 interceptions. Rhett, leading rusher. You can see he distributes the ball around. Sullivan, the leading receiver, with 4. Hill with a touchdown catch, as did Trey Everett in the first half. Second down, 8 yards to go. Rhett in the backfield. Handoff now to McNabb, the fullback, and he's going little or nowhere.
I'm not sure McNabb picked up that audible. I'm not sure he expected the football there. Matthews was making some hand signals, something that we were told that the Florida offense would have to do today because of the crowd noise here.
Hawkins, who's played a strong game out of Hyattsville, Maryland, DeMatha High School, which is known for its basketball, where Morgan Wilton is the head coach, but he was a parade All-American football player. Third down, 8 yards to go. Matthews wide open. Harrison, he takes a shot from Tony Jones, stays on his feet. Tony Jones, who has been suspended for the first 2 games, number 18, really popped him, but Houston Harrison stayed on his feet, made the first down catch, 20-yard gain out to the 37.
Florida has used 4 different wide receivers today. Here we see Harrison Houston running a seam route. He finds the soft spot in the zone. Tony Jones delivers a shot on him, and he has incredible balance. He almost is able to break out of the tackle.
Jones is 6'4". Matthews on that 3rd and 8, able to deliver. He just got rid of that one. Alertly did, as Kevin Mitchell was storming down the middle and dropped him. And he alertly fired that one into the ground.
Smart play by Matthews, 2nd and 10 instead of 2nd and long because of the sack.
Matthews makes the right decisions. That's one of the reasons a year ago Steve Spurrier handed him the quarterback controls. He'd been a 5th-string quarterback, had taken 2 snaps previous to last season.
And last year he wound up being SEC Player of the Year.
And as Steve told us yesterday, he thinks he'll be the best quarterback he's ever had. And he's had some good ones.
Yes, he has.
2nd and 10. On target to Sullivan, who's having a big game. Let's see if he got enough for the first down. It's very close. Let's see where they mark it. He's right about where the front part of the chains are, and they're going to have to measure. Montemora made the tackle on Sullivan. So they're going to measure to see if, in fact, that was a first down grab.
Florida looks like they're resorting to what they did in the first quarter. They were able to get Alonzo Sullivan in the wide side of the field, isolated one-on-one, and he caught a couple of out patterns and some hook routes. It looks like he's just short of the first down.
2nd and that far. Steve Spurrier, the Heisman Trophy winner in 1966. The Florida Gator returning home, the coach's alma mater, and what a job he has done.
And he calls all the offensive plays.
10 years in the NFL, 3 years at Duke, Tampa Bay Bandits of the USFL. There's the distribution. 8 to the running backs, and look how they've gone to the wide receivers as Shane Matthews trying to sneak for the first down.
8 passes caught by running backs, 12 by wide receivers, and 1 ball was thrown to the tight end, and it was intercepted.
First down. Against Alabama, they sent Matthews up the middle. You know, Matthews is kind of a skinny guy, 6'3", only weighs 191 pounds.
I don't think he's an exceptional athlete, but he reminds me of Bernie Kosar. He makes the right decisions, he makes the correct reads, and he hits the open receivers. That's all you want out of your quarterback in a high-powered passing game like Florida.
First down is the 48 of the Gators. Matthews with time over the middle, and there's the tight end, Terrell Jackson, dropping it. So the big goose egg will stay with the tight ends. He's an ex-fullback. He was moved to tight end in the mid-season last year. Exceptional blocker, started his collegiate career at Miami and then transferred to Florida.
Terrell realizes he should have had that pass. A lot of times fullbacks converted to tight ends make very good players. I think of Todd Christensen, who was a running back, wound up converting the tight end in the pros and went on to have a very good career.
Pasqualoni, who was the defensive coordinator before taking over the head job, talking to Wooden on the sideline. Up the middle, and it's dropped. Andre Hill had it for a moment. Couldn't hang on. And it's third down. Matthews now has thrown the ball 31 times, and we have over 12 minutes left in the third quarter.
Well, it's going to be a vastly different game from last week against Alabama. Last week, Florida scored 4 consecutive times in the second half. Today, they're going to have to throw to get back in this ball game. And it looks like Steve Spurrier has abandoned the running game for now.
Hill, Willie Jackson split to the near side. Houston Harrison to the top. 3rd and 10. Far side, intercepted. That is Dwayne Joseph, his 3rd interception of the year. Harrison Houston, the intended receiver, and Joseph, who plays with a broken left hand, which he wears a cast on during the week and then a soft cast during the game. Watch this interception.
Dwayne Joseph bumps. He knows he has deep coverage. Shane Matthews has to leave Houston a little bit more upfield, and he doesn't. Dwayne Joseph does an excellent job recovering and making the interception on that play. But he knew he had help deep. His responsibility on that play is to chuck the wide receiver. Let's look at it from the reverse angle. See Joseph, nobody came into his zone. His responsibility is the flat, and he makes the interception. A good heads-up play by Joseph.
From Carroll City, Miami, Florida, with the interception. Here's a give to Walker. Boy, I love to watch Walker play. He just produces. Not fancy, not flashy, but he gets it done. As he moves into the 40, Carlton Miles made the stop. Now Syracuse, here is the distribution offensively for them.
Graves 9 for 12 for 144 yards. No turnovers, Gary, and I can't emphasize that enough. They haven't been able to let Florida get on the field that much. They've limited their opportunities offensively.
Total yards, Florida the better of it there. Graves to Walker again, who prior to that carry had 5 carries for 46 yards. Stopped there. Well, that was a big story coming in, John. The top of the show. Could Syracuse cut the turnovers down? They had 8 turnovers in the first 2 games.
Well, we're getting an idea of how good this offense can be under George DeLeon, the offensive coordinator, who's in his 5th year. They can eliminate the turnovers as they've done so far today. They can really put points on the board and get yards.
Double tight end alignment on a 3rd down and 2. They go to the wishbone. And everybody jumping up on the line now for Florida. 8-man front. Graves pitching back to Richardson. The chase is on. He's got the first down. Diving forward, Jim Falk got over there. I'll tell you, Graves showed some courage. He took a pop when he released that one.
He certainly did. And look how risky this option offense can be. That was another high pitch. He barely got it off. Somebody was right in Graves' face. But when it executes, when it works, they're able to convert first down. Another great option play by Syracuse.
Remember, Graves had 6 turnovers, 3 interceptions, and 3 fumbles coming in the game, and he's been efficient today. Richardson, with that carry, now has 35 yards for the day. First down at the 46. Ooh, no place to go for Wooten. Well, you know, the key being put the ball away. Keep it secure. We talked to Paul Pasqualoni, first-year coach of Syracuse, about that very fact.
We've addressed the ball security issue. You know, for a quarterback here at Syracuse, we're talking about ball security when he's in the pocket. We're talking about ball security when he's running the option and coming down the line of scrimmage with the ball in either hand. And then, obviously, if he turns up and becomes a running back, we're talking about ball security there. And those are 3 separate areas of ball security that our quarterbacks must work at. And Marvin has worked very hard in the past week or so to try to get those things corrected.
And obviously that hard work has paid off. Here is Walker, cutting against the grain with a 45, the 40, still on his feet, and eventually knocked out of bounds at the 33 by Myrick Anderson. You know, you look at Walker. Walker. He's 5'9", 210, not a blazer, but he just seems to pick up yardage.
He does everything the coach wants him to do. We saw him block on the touchdown pass. Now we see him make another great open field cut. Frankly, David Walker surprising me this afternoon. I didn't know he had this kind of breakaway speed.
Last year, 730 yards for the year. He had a high of 134 yards against Pittsburgh. That 22-yard run gives him 71 for the day. Averaging, as you can see, just over 10 a carry. Ishmael in motion. Straight ahead, Wooten keeps him honest up the middle as he takes it inside the 30. You have to check that fullback out every time on the option.
You do, and as we said before, they have to predetermine whether or not the fullback is going to carry the ball. On that play, he did, and I think it was a wise choice because there were plenty of Gator defensemen in the perimeter.
Boy, Colorado, after losing to Baylor, came roaring back, didn't they? Whew. Second down now, 7. Syracuse with a 28-14 lead. Walker in motion. To Walker. He's tough to hem in. Finally just ran into about 12 bodies in front of him, and that stopped him. But again, in the open field, doing a very good job. It'll bring up a 3rd and 5 now for Syracuse.
Even though that particular play didn't get a lot of yards, it really is keeping the Gator defense on their heels. They had to look at so many things and had to defend so many different looks offensively today.
Another thing, and I know this is important to Syracuse, are keeping Shane Matthews and that Gator offense off the field. 3rd down and 5 now. Walker and Richardson come into the backfield. Gedney, the tight end, comes to the near side. Inside, 8 minutes to go in the 3rd. Graves in the near side, throwing to Walker. He pulled it down twice. He was having some heat come up the middle from William Gaines. And eventually just got rid of it, but that was diagnosed very well. Good coverage that time by Florida.
Yes, it was.
And so Biscup, who was perfect for the year, 4 of 4 field goal wise. Career best of 48 yards last week against Maryland. And this will be a 45-yard attempt.
We saw him hitting him from as far out as 55 yards in pre-game, so there shouldn't be any question about the leg strength on this kick.
Mark McDonald, one of the captains of the team, in the hole. The ball is down. He's got a lot of leg. Is it down the middle? No, it's wide to the left. Ball had a funny look when it came off his foot.
Well, whenever you see a ball that's not a perfect spiral, it looks like he probably hooked it a little bit.
So the 45-yarder goes awry. It's still a 14-point lead for the Orangemen. Florida down by 14 after the missed field goal attempt by Biscuit. Inherits the football to 28. John, you had an interesting point. You thought it was important that Syracuse stopped Florida in their first series, but I think it's equally important that Syracuse need to get something out of that drive. Then you make the team have to score 3 times.
Well, it would have been nice to be up by that by 17 points. But had Florida scored on their first drive, they would have scored on consecutive drives, the end of the half and the beginning of the first half, which really would have changed the complexion of this game.
So Matthews is back after suffering the interception on the last drive. Passes to Rhett coming out of the backfield. He breaks the tackle to 45, and he's to the midfield stripe. John Lusardi made the stop. Rhett has not run the ball. For that matter, Florida hasn't run the ball. They've only have 6 yards rushing. But boy, they've been effective throwing to him coming out of the backfield.
I am so impressed with the running back receivers for Florida today. Dexter McNabb, Eric Rhett, and Willie McClendon have all caught passes and made good yards, good runs after the catch.
22-yard gain to the 49. We're going to go to New York in a little bit for an update on that Illinois-Houston game from Roger Twyble. Here is Matthews back. Over the middle, caught by McClendon. Lusardi went up, almost deflected it. McClendon caught it, and it's a first down at the 25-yard line. Joseph and Sandquist eventually caught up, so a 22-yard strike, and now a 26-yard completion.
This is a pass we've seen Florida trying to get to their tight ends twice with mixed results both times. This time McClendon gets down the seam. Matthews is able to thread the ball over number 39, John Lusardi.
Nice feather touch that time as he got it over Lusardi. And all of a sudden, the Gators are growling. They've got it just outside the 25. They're going to have an end-around fake. And Matthews got rid of it as George Rooks downs him, and now a flag. And then, let's see what they're going to call here. Intentional grounding. George Rooks, the All-American candidate out of White Plains, New York, after the end around was faked, got right in the face of number 9.
George Rooks, they expect big things from him this year. He's the best pass rusher for Syracuse. It's funny, though, as the referee called to look around to see if there was any receiver downfield to call dumping the pass, which Shane Matthews did, intentional grounding.
Loss of down.
George Rooks, I think, also roughs the passer when this play is over.
Well, that's the reason I waited to see if there might be another penalty flag. But it was intentional grounding, loss of down as well. The penalty moves it back to the 45 of Syracuse. Second down now. Long ways to go. Second and 25. Matthews trying to come right back to McClendon. Ball is fumbled. I think Florida got it back, and they did. Well, let's break here for a moment. Let's go to New York. Roger?
Well, thank you very much, Gary. At Illinois, the Illini giving Houston a taste of their own medicine. This in the third quarter, Jason Produsco. For the third time today to Gus Palma up top, 40 yards on the touchdown. That made it 27-3. Illinois has added another touchdown. They leave it 34-3 in the third. And how about ASU and Southern Cal? The Sun Devils lead it 32-10. Let's go back to Gary.
Roy Rogers had a big win for Larry Marmee. Back to throw is Matthews. Pressure coming. He gets rid of it again. Glenn Young sacks him. There's no intentional grounding.
This time, I think the referee really should have called intentional grounding.
All of a sudden, the offensive line of Florida cannot protect their quarterback. Young
we have another blitz. Glenn Young comes right through, unblocked. Whenever you have a blitzing situation, the offensive lineman should seal from the inside out and let the blitzers come from the outside. Shane Matthews got away with dumping the ball right there.
Bob Costello, one of the assistant coaches, talking to Pasqualoni as Syracuse stops that drive in a hurry. Rob Grosvenor is back for Syracuse on this punt off the side of the foot of Shane Edge, but it's going to hit very well and be down to the 8-yard line. And so the Orangemen have it. They have a 14-point lead, and this sellout crowd in homecoming is loving it. Well, it's been an exciting afternoon, and this is evidence of it. Look at what's happened thus far. Matthews has thrown for 305 yards, suffered 2 interceptions, distributes the ball so well. Alonzo Sullivan, the leading receiver. Ishmael, 132 yards of all-purpose yardage. Dardar started it out with a 90-yard kickoff return. Graves has played extremely well. And here we have 5:51 left in the game, and after that punt, Syracuse inherits the ball at their own 10-yard line. A lot of offense. Marcus Lee is in at fullback along with Terry Richardson. And all of a sudden the ball comes loose. The exchange I don't think was ever made. Gray's trying to hand off, and I don't think they ever made the exchange. As the ball comes loose, who's got it? Really a peculiar play.
Well, Gray's trying to run that freeze counter play that he runs.
And Florida got it.
Syracuse finally turns the ball over. Looks like Tony McCoy will make the recovery here. There's so much penetration, he can't even get the pass off, or the handoff off. Myrick Anderson on the tackle, Tony McCoy on the recovery. Watch number 71 on the left side of your screen, battling. He's crawling along the ground light right there. He sees the ball and covers it up.
But Myrick Anderson was a guy that really stuck Richardson.
There's just too much penetration on that play, Gary.
Line of scrimmage, the 7. First and goal, Florida. Big break for the Gators. Matthews to Rhett. Rhett to the 5. Maybe inside the 5.
So the turnovers are finally evening out.
And that was a turnover you wouldn't expect. It wasn't on the option where you're running down the line of scrimmage where the high risk comes in. That was just an ordinary handoff up the middle.
Or when you try and counter in the running game like that and off that freeze action move in the option, you're really susceptible to penetration, and that's what happened right there.
2nd and goal. Just inside the 5. Single running back. Matthews. Wait a minute, they're going to blow the play dead. See what this is all about. Officials stopping it just about the time Matthews came out from underneath center.
Syracuse may have tried to get a timeout called there. I don't know if they did or not. They looked confused defensively. Safeties were running all over the place. And I think that's what we have.
That's exactly what it was.
Defense called timeout prior to the snap.
Number 9, Dwayne Joseph at the bottom of your screen, right-hand corner there, calls the timeout. He knows they're in the wrong coverage. Florida is trying to spread the field.
That's twice they've called it just in the nick of time. Remember, they had the ball one time, and the play clock was expiring. They got it out. Pasqualoni not happy about the turnover and not happy about the fact that they had to use the timeout there. Looking ahead, next Saturday on ABC, 1 to 12 Eastern, 9 Pacific, the #1 ranked Seminoles of Florida. Bobby Bowden's Florida State team battles the 3rd-ranked Michigan Wolverines. Plus at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific, regional coverage follows us Georgia Tech. Boy, what an exciting win they had Thursday night against Virginia. Takes on Clemson. Colorado, who just destroyed Minnesota today, will meet Stanford. And Pitt goes against those Golden Gophers of Minnesota. Be sure to check your local listings for the game in your area. That's Saturday here on ABC.
Alex Van Pelt off to a good year this year for the Pitt Panthers.
We'll get to see him against the Gophers in the Metrodome, another dome game. So it's 2nd and goal after that timeout. Line of scrimmage just inside the 5-yard line.
Well, although head coach Paul Pasqualoni did not like to see a timeout call, if it saved a touchdown, it was definitely a good timeout for the Syracuse Orangemen.
5 minutes left in the 3rd. This guy says, I'm not fancy. I just want to get my kids ready to play. Replaced the very popular Dick McPherson, now the head coach of the New England Patriots. 4 years the linebacker coach and elevated into the head coaching job.
Well, it really gave his taking over really gave the players a lot of continuity in the program, too.
2nd and goal. Matthews. Touchdown catch, Willie Jackson. That is his 4th touchdown catch of his career.
On only 5 passes.
That's amazing.
That's
Willie
amazing
Jackson.
productivity there. Willie Jackson runs a simple slant in. He has man coverage. Watch where Shane Matthews delivers this pass. And a terrific catch by Willie Jackson. Greg Walker on the coverage, and it wasn't bad coverage.
28-20 the count. Point after by Krzyzewski, and it's now 28-21. So the turnover. Florida capitalizes in a hurry, and they're down by 7. Well, that's our score, 28-21. Jackie Sherrill gave the Vols a battle. Indiana and Bloomington defeating the Wildcats of Bill Curry. Later, Georgia, Alabama. Last year, Georgia won that ball game. A field goal with seconds left. Later, Auburn, Texas, Vanderbilt, LSU, Ohio against the Ole Miss Rebels. Matthews directing the team on that short drive, a 4-yard touchdown pass to Willie Jackson. Ryan Ruland to kick off. Ishmael along with Terry Richardson. Ishmael will go back and not bring it out. So from the 20-yard line, Syracuse now with their lead cut to 7. We'll start from the 20. Graves thus far, 10 of 13, 126 yards, 2 touchdowns. See, that last drive didn't take very long after the fumble recovery by Tony McCoy.
And Gary, to reduce the game to its simplest terms right now, Syracuse is +1 in the turnovers, and they're up by a touchdown. We saw how devastating turnovers can be for the Syracuse offense.
Ishmael will come split to the near side. Shelby Hill to the far. Lee and Walker in the backfield. Ishmael, he caught it on the rebound, didn't he? I think he caught it on the rebound. He did. It bounced off his shoulder pads. He fell to the ground, and there the ball was.
When you start to have confidence in your abilities, you can make great plays. Katri Ismail, that ball was threaded through there. It hit him on the face mask, and he just stayed with it. Del Spear in coverage.
Wow.
He finally wraps it up there.
That is concentration, huh, John?
Yes, it is.
Gain of 9 on the play. Going for the first down is Marcus Lee. He's still on his feet. First down. Let's pause now. 5 seconds for our ABC stations to identify themselves. So we're back at the Carrier Dome. It's been an exciting game thus far with 4:10 left in the third quarter. Syracuse 28, Florida 21. I'm Gary Bender along with John Spagnola. A first down for the Orangemen after Lee carried right up the middle that last time, moving the ball to the 37. Gray's pulling up and he's dropped. Didn't have time that time because Brad Culpepper out of Tallahassee, second team all SEC, made that tackle. A&M upset by Tulsa. What a big upset that was for Tulsa.
Syracuse going to the well once too many times on that particular play. Del Spear was rolled up in coverage, and that time the Florida defense had a better play called than the Syracuse offense.
Well, wasn't that what he talked about? Pasqualoni said, I don't know if we'll have time to do some of those things that we want to do. And there was a case in point.
But Graves pulled the ball down to his credit.
Second down, 13. Both Richardson and Walker in the backfield. Graves stepping up. Ishmael. Nice catch. First down. I tell you, this guy has come miles in his receiving. Ishmael, the Rocket's younger brother, and you're going to hear a lot about the missile, the way this guy's playing. Dale Spear over there to make the stop. And it looks like man down on the field. That's a 20-yard gain.
Ismail avoids the defender and breaks it outside. Marvin Graves stepped up in the pocket. He had some pressure, and the pass is complete to Ismail.
Ishmael getting
a helmet in the back,
slowly.
and he may be hurt.
He's up now, and now Doug Womack is coming to quarterback, their option specialist. 20-yard gain. Ishmael seems to be all right. Here goes Womack. Look at his quickness. 45, 40, and almost a tie. He has the first down. Oh, as he breathes lightning.
And they really like to sneak Womack in the game. There was confusion on the sidelines when Ismail was hurt. They were able to sneak Womack in there, and I don't think the Florida defense saw him there at quarterback. Before they knew it, they had an option being run at them.
Just short of the first down, 9.5 yards. Marvin Graves comes back in. What an interesting substitution. Womack comes in, and he just picks up the tempo.
Well, there's definitely a tendency when he's in the game, it's going to be an option.
This time, straight ahead is Marcus Lee, and a big fullback, ex-tailback, throws the ball to the 22. Larry Kennedy made the stop. And Marcus Lee, they moved him to fullback. They want to use him more because of his speed. And the sophomore out of Springfield, Massachusetts, has carried the ball effectively on 2 occasions.
I was reluctant to think. I really didn't think that Syracuse could run the ball this well against that 8-man front of the Gators. The inside linemen, Jerry Sharp, John Regan, and Terrence Wisdom are doing an outstanding job.
15-yard gain. Hand off again to Lee. Lee this time able to negotiate the 20-yard line. Well, this drive started from the 20, and obviously after copying up the ball deep in your own territory, giving up a touchdown, it's important to get some continuity going on offense, and they've done that.
Ismail and Womack are back in the game.
Yep, here comes Womack. Graves comes off. Second down, 7 for the Orangemen. So Ishmael will go split to the far side of the field.
I wonder if they're going to try something off the option here.
Womack gives off to Lee, and Lee is really giving him a lift on this drive. Stumbles inside the 15-yard line. Tim Paulk made the stop on the play.
Offensive coordinator George DeLeon told us that he wanted to get Marcus Lee into the game. He thought he was a little better runner than Al Wooten, who's a very physical blocker.
Now, Womack started off the field. He comes back on. He's at quarterback. Ishmael and Hill come out on a 3rd and 3. They have a double tight end alignment. The wishbone. Womack on the option. On a 3rd and 3. He's got it. And still on his feet to the 5. First and goal. Harvey Thomas eventually got him, and you can see how speed can make so much difference on the option.
Womack comes down the line on the option. Terry Richardson becomes the lead blocker. I think this is a predetermined run play. There's absolutely, Womack absolutely had no intention of pitching there. He wanted to run the ball, and what speed he has.
And I know he wasn't going to pass. He's never thrown a pass. 10-yard gain, first and goal at the 5. The wishbone again, and time has expired at the end of the 3rd quarter. 28-21, Syracuse in the lead. We'll return with more action between Florida and Syracuse after this message and a word from our ABC station. "15 minutes left to go. The start of the 4th quarter. As we come back, Syracuse has a first and goal at the 5. Ishmael, what a great game he has had. Right now, he's on the sideline as Womack remains at quarterback. He's carried the ball 4 times for 28 yards. He goes to the bone. Hand off to Wooten, fighting for the goal line. And the 237-pound sophomore from Niagara Falls runs into a lot of congestion on that play. It'll bring up 2nd down.
An important defensive series for Florida. If they can keep Syracuse out of the end zone, they still have a good chance of coming back and winning this football game.
Rob Casolo, you see him. He was wig-wagging the play in. He's the tight ends, tackles, special teams coach. He brings it from the press box down to Kevin Rogers, the quarterback coach, and comes to him. Look at this drive. 2nd and goal. Womack keeping. Touchdown. Looks like Edwin Moses on that one as he goes in.
Terry Richardson again on that lead quarterback option that we see through another good block. This time, he just hurdles right over Will White. What an athlete he is.
Oh, yeah, he's only 166 pounds, 5'11". He was a Houston Player of the Year. One time rushed for 312 yards in a high school game. Point after attempt now. Biscuit. And Syracuse is back on top by 14. Amazing game thus far. 35-21, Syracuse. Syracuse at 175 yards rushing thus far in the game. We'll be back. Coming up after the conclusion of this game, the Thrifty Car Rental post-game report. We'll go to New York and join Roger Clyble and Bo Schembechler. We've got a lot of football left here. 35-21 Syracuse. But the Gators are a kind of team that can strike in a hurry. And there's the guy that added the last touchdown, Womack, Doug Womack. 3-yard run. Kicking off is O'Neal, and he gets into this one. Oh, out of the back of the end zone. They'll take it from the 20, and let's look at this wide open, wild and woolly one here. Statistically, 308 yards passing for Florida, and yet they're down by 14 points.
And look at the yards rushing, -4 yards rushing right now. And Syracuse had a great ball control drive there. They really ate some time off the clock.
The score, of course, has changed. That was at the end of 3, and then at the beginning of the 4th quarter, Womack just scored a moment ago. That's where we are now. This will get him back in a hurry. Willie Jackson on the receiving end. Breaks the tackle to the 50, to the Syracuse 45. Boy, they can strike in a hurry. JoJo Wooden and John Lasardi eventually caught up, but that's a 35-yard gain.
We've seen this pattern thrown a lot of different ways today. Once to the tight end, 2 times to the tight end, then to Willie McClendon in the back, and now to Willie Jackson. Florida spreading the field horizontally and getting open in the seams down the middle of the field.
Matthews going to be a busy guy in the last 13-plus minutes. From the 45, play action fake. Pressure coming up the middle. He had to get rid of it. Lasardi was in his face. John Lasardi went storming up the middle. Dexter McNabb getting up slowly. So Matthews now has attempted 39 passes, completed 26 of them for 343 yards, 3 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions. And we still have over 13 minutes to go in this game.
Now, there was no intentional grounding there because Shane Matthews threw the ball downfield. And it was before he was in the grasp of John Lasardi, the blitzing linebacker. And Shane Matthews knows how to get rid of the football.
They've got some confusion here offensively. Finally, Rhett gets in the right spot, as does Sullivan. Matthews back to throw. Going down the middle. Ball was broken up. Greg Walker defending on the play. Wanting interference, but not getting it. It's the Florida Gators. Walker, the veteran senior out of Williamport, PA, back there defending on the play. Kevin Glenn, the wide receiver.
Well, Florida is using all sorts of wide receivers today. But watch Walker time his junk. We understand he's their best cover guy. There might have been a little interference called there, but you don't get the call at home in this kind of game.
A little shaky. 3rd and 10. Timeout. Matthews and the Gators. 3rd down, 10, and Matthews will go to the far side to coach Steve Spurrier. Tell you, this Syracuse secondary, they're real big, but boy, did they fly around. Joseph has picked off one. Walker just a moment ago. Let's look at it again. It was Kevin Glenn, the wide receiver, down the middle. Watch it.
Once again, we see Walker timing his jump. Right there, he definitely interfered on Glenn. No question it should have been called. Even though both players were going for the ball, you have to give the receiver the right to catch the football.
Well, Kevin Glenn wasn't even on our 3 deep. He's a junior out of Brandon, Florida, 5'11", 163. Let's look ahead to Monday night. The Bears host the Jets. Bears playing remarkably well, and that guy, Mike Singletary, you probably faced him a couple of times, huh?
Well, I'm glad he can't jump out of the television screen at me.
Jets coming off a strong showing against the Bills. They've got some offense. One of the former Syracuse stars, Rob Moore, playing for that Jets team. All begins live at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on ABC's Monday Night Football. Let's catch you up. If you joined us late, Dardar with a 90-yard kickoff return on the first play of the game. Walker from 10 yards out, 14-0 the Orangemen. And then Trey Everett, who we haven't seen since that time, caught a 70-yard touchdown pass. Antonio Johnson, a 13-yard catch, made it 21-7 the Orangemen. Ismail has played brilliantly at a 36-yard catch. Then Hill came back. Jackson came back. 28-21 a moment ago. Womack from 3 yards out. 3rd and 10. Matthews. Complete. Down Houston. The ball comes loose. Ruled incomplete. What a shot Harrison Houston took.
By Tim Sandquist coming across the middle. Really lit Houston up.
Wow.
Florida's been able to get away with that pass so many times today. It has been open quite a bit. I think this time Sandquist is just cheating a little bit.
Well, Sandquist has taken over the leadership in that secondary for Rob Thompson, who played so well there last year. And so Edge will come into punt to Shelby Hill.
What a bone-jarring tackle. Oh.
Syracuse had too many men on the field, and getting off the last moment was Garland Hawkins. They're going to put the return on. Edge. Fair catch called for. Hill's going to let it hit, and it will make it in for the touchdown. 45-yard punt. Syracuse with a 14-point lead, and they have the football at the 20-yard line. Syracuse has the ball at the 20. They have a 14-point lead. And the Orangemen have impressed today at Florida with 13-22 to try to get back into this one, turn it around as they're being upset by the 18th ranked team for the Big East Conference. Richardson being chased by Robinson, and he got a first down. That showed some speed there. The inside linebacker couldn't get the angle he wanted, and Richardson picks up a first down. Here's what's happened against the SEC. 6 wins, 6 losses. In fact, you know, Syracuse upset Nebraska, ranked #1 here in the Dome, went down and lost to Florida in Florida Field.
Gary, I am so impressed with the offensive line play at Syracuse today.
That was a big question mark. The inexperienced offensive line, only one starter returning. Handoff goes to Marcus Lee. Lee slants it out to the 34. They found a backup fullback in Lee today.
Yes, they did. To get back to that point, not only the inexperience, but they have 2 players converted from other positions. Jerry Sharp, the left guard, is converted from nose guard. Well, we know why he's not going to play nose guard with Kevin Mitchell around. And Andrew Dees, the right tackle, converted tight end. You're not supposed to be able to run the ball on Florida's defense.
And they have the designated quarterback, option quarterback, in Womack, along with this guy, Graves. That's a great situation to have. 2nd and 7. Graves pulls up, Gedney. He made the catch, and that'll be a first down. That's a tough catch. Will White defending on the play.
A difficult catch for a lanky guy like Gedney. He's 6'5", but he goes down, he catches the ball. We haven't heard from him much today.
Graves comes out. You know what that means? Womack is in. If I was Steve Spurrier, I'd be very much aware of number 10 in the lineup. And that's been a problem. They sneak him in from time to time.
And Syracuse really wants to go to work on the clock right now.
First down, 11:56 left in the game. Gedney split to the near side. Here's Womack on the option. He's got Nielsen blocking ahead of him. And he gets to the 45, and it'll be shoved backwards. That's a gain of 4. Ephesians Bartley was over there first to make the stop. What he does to you is he gets the corner so quick, your pursuit just can't catch up with him sometimes.
He really does. When the team runs an option, everybody on defense is assigned a responsibility. The person who's assigned to Womack on any given play may not just have the foot speed to stay up with him.
2nd and 6. Syracuse ranked 18th coming in here after wins over Vanderbilt and Maryland. Taking on the Gators today. Hand off to Lee. Nice spin move, and he's very close to a first down.
Well, I can see why they like Marcus Lee running the football.
Steve Bartley again made the stop along with Will White. It is a first down.
Very similar drive to the last one we saw by Syracuse. Eating up the clock, using the option, throwing effectively downfield.
Graves comes back in, and look at the rushing yardage. 203 yards. Florida, a -4.
I don't know which number I'm more shocked about.
I think the -4.
I think so too then.
First down at the 48. Richardson. Good footwork as he takes it to the 45. Carlton Miles makes the stop there. The Syracuse team plays in the Dome next week. They go to the Superdome. They meet Tulane. They have to play Florida State at Florida State October 5th. The next game for this Florida team is against Mississippi State. They play that in Orlando. Of course, Mississippi State's been one of the surprises, losing today to Tennessee, but they gave them a real scare. Richardson has 50 yards on 9 carries. 2nd down, 7. Richardson again. Another first down, and right now, they're just taking it right to the Gators. Miles and Kennedy on the stop.
There's our offensive line. John Regan, the center. The right guard, Terrence Wisdom. They double on Culpepper. It's a lead play. Wooten comes through. Good lead block. A lot of room for Richardson to make a decision. He's got a nice hole to get through for a positive gain and a first down.
So that inexperienced offensive line of Syracuse evidently has grown up.
They're really coming together today.
First down at the 37 of the Gators.
Here's a blitz.
Richardson breaks the initial tackle and gets back to about the line of scrimmage. Tonight at 8 Eastern, looking ahead, ABC's college football will continue with more regional action. Some of you will see BYU. They lost 4 in a row now after losing 2 at the end of last season. They'll take on Penn State. Do you think they might be angry after that loss to USC?
I think so. Both teams are coming off losses, and Ty Detmer is not putting up the numbers he has in years past.
Georgia against the Tide, and then Washington, Nebraska. What a game that should be. Boy, it's tough to win in Lincoln, but if anybody could do it, it'd be the Huskies. Doug Womack comes back in at quarterback. Second down, 11. Changing the play. Gives off to Richardson up the middle. 25 to the 24. Larry Kennedy made the stop. I think this is a discouraged Florida team right now.
Once again, Florida brings the blitz. It worked on the previous play. This time, Richardson is able to squirt through. And when there's a blitz, he's all the way to the secondary before somebody can make a tackle.
Big hole up the middle that time. 13-yard gain. Womack stays in as they go to the bone. Almost mishandled the snap. Gets it off to Richardson. Being chased by Bartley. Got the corner. And he's out of bounds at the 4. Let's see where they're going to mark it. What a burst of speed by Richardson. He got the shoulders, turned up the field, and he took off. Let's see where they mark it. They're going to bring it out further. Said he stepped out of bounds at the 17. First down.
B. Bartley has contained there, and you can see the speed of Terrence Richardson as he gets around the corner. Watch two number 44s going at it. First of all, almost a missed exchange. B. Bartley, number 44, just doesn't have the foot speed to keep up with Richardson, and he's able to get around the corner.
See why they gave him number 44, don't you?
I love the way Pasqualoni is alternating his backs.
Yep. Here's Walker, speaking of alternating. Now they give it to the other tailback, and Walker straight ahead. They have really a kind of an inside guy in Walker and an outside guy in Richardson. Two entirely different kinds of runners, but both effective in their own way. Gain of 5, second and 5.
Both coaches have the luxury of being able to alternate their backs today.
Culpepper on the stop along with Robinson. Lee along with Walker to backfield. Second and 5. Womack giving up. And straight ahead is Lee, close to the 5-yard line.
The last time Womack did this, Gary, he faked inside and then he scored on a touchdown. Once again, they could be setting up the same sort of play to the near side of the field.
Well, this obviously would put a real lid on this game if they get this one in. Now, here comes Graves into the huddle. Womack checks out. Job well done. 7:04 left in the game.
Syracuse wants timeout.
They're not getting the attention of the team, though. Now they see him, and Graves will call a timeout.
They may have rethought what they wanted to do there, Gary. They may want to pass the ball. Maybe they'll go back to the run.
So the Orangemen have one timeout remaining. We'll be back. 6:54 to go. Syracuse leading 35-21. Let's check the Big East Conference. Syracuse leading here. Clemson defeated Temple. Rutgers earlier over Northwestern. Later, West Virginia and Maryland. They'll crown a champ this year in the Big East, despite the disparity of the number of conference games played, as a conference championship will be determined by the highest-ranked team in the coaches' poll at the end of the year. And I would think that Syracuse's ranking will increase as they have another long drive. Earlier, they had an 11-play drive in 80 yards. This one, 12 in 76. And look at the time of possession in the second half in particular. And
really
it's just been hard-nosed football, hasn't it?
That's right. Really tilted heavily towards Syracuse.
Womack comes in at quarterback. Now they need About 3 yards for a first and goal. 3rd and a long 2. They're at the 4.
Let's see if he goes to the near side of the field. It beats to his left this time.
Double tight end alignment. The bone. The wishbone is in. Good option the short side. And Womack, did he get it? Did he get a first and goal? Boy, did he take a shot from Tim Polk, number 99. Oh,
Tim Polk is a definite prospect. He's an outstanding inside linebacker, and he really gets after people.
Well, they were talking about he wears fullbacks out, but today the fullbacks of Syracuse have held their own. Now they're going to measure to see if Womack got the first and goal. And according to Andy Dees, they did.
Well, Syracuse had 7 more points here. It's going to be next to impossible for Florida to come back.
Well, you could sing that old song, Turn Out the Lights. Do you know how to do that one?
Give me a couple more games, Gary.
Womack, 40 yards, 7 carries and a touchdown, and now Graves replaces him at quarterback. First and goal at the 2. Movement. Cappuccioni, the left tackle out of East Bridgewater, Massachusetts, fired off. And that's not when you want to be firing off inside that 5-yard line.
Dead ball foul. All stats. Offense, 5-yard penalty. Repeat the down.
Cappuccioni must have had some of that garlic you were eating earlier this week. Boy, I tell you what, you really have a good taste for food.
Look at Doug Womack. That's what happens when you carry the ball and don't pitch it and don't throw it. You wind up with blood all over your arm.
Now, West Virginia, now we have an update on that leading Maryland's egg. After the penalty, first and goal from the 7, give to Richardson, and Richardson dances inside the 5. His second and goal from there. So, time ticking away, 6:30 to go. Paul Pasqualoni is undefeated as a head coach.
And that's Bob Casillo sending the signals in to the sidelines. They're relayed from the box from George DeLeon, who told us he needed 400 yards and 24 points today to win this game. I think he's got to learn to set his sights a little higher.
A little repair work there on Womack, the cut you were talking about. Second and goal from the 4. And in trouble is Graves. And the reason he's in trouble is Tim Polk just stormed through. Tim Polk, the all-SEC pick out of Coral City, Miami.
Polk lines up on the outside. He's usually on the inside. John Nielsen, the guard, has the pull to try and get to him, but he just can't get there in time, and Polk makes the tackle.
He's a big-time player.
And he must be frustrated with the way this game has gone today.
Cappuccioni is down, the senior tackle. Loss of 10 on the play. And that offensive line does not have a lot of depth, and obviously a lack of experience is coming into the ball game now. Substitution for this Syracuse team. Jerry Sharp will come into the game.
Here's Cappuccioni at the bottom of your screen, number 72. Watch his right knee here. It just gets rolled up on. And that often happens with offensive linemen. That's why they wear those braces. Hopefully it's not a very serious injury. The offensive linemen always have people rolling around on them. And when they're pass protecting or run blocking, they really have no control of the situation.
Well, the loss all the way back out to the 13-yard line area. 5:55 left in the game. They're taking a lot of time off the clock and have that Florida defense backed up. They're trying to put the lid on this one with a 35-21 lead. The Syracuse team starting out in impressive fashion with the opening kickoff, going 90 yards, and they've never relinquished that lead. Speaking of knee injuries, there is Dan Conley, outstanding inside linebacker who got hurt last week against Maryland.
I believe his teammates wanted to dedicate this game to him today. He has the same knee injury that Glenn Young had, the inside linebacker for Syracuse, as Cappuccioni limps off the field. We hope he's okay.
Conley, a real leader in that defense. They used to line him up outside on a pass rush. And so Conley, they hope will be able to come back next year. But I'll tell you, Lasardi's done a good job in his stead playing in that inside linebacking spot.
Yes, he was. He was Big East Player of the Week last week.
So here we go now on a 3rd and goal. Now the 13.5-yard line. 3 wideouts. And a change of cadence by Graves, and he has Florida moving. Culpepper was one of those.
Good use of the cadence. Still keeps Syracuse in the third down situation.
Dead ball foul. Offside. Defense. 3rd down.
It's got to be frustrating for Spurrier not to get his offense on the field. He must feel like this drive has gone forever.
Yes, it has. It's been like the twilight zone. But Syracuse has to get some points out of this if they want to get up by more than 2 touchdowns.
16 plays on this drive following that 11-play drive earlier. So now it's 3rd and goal from the 8-yard line. Quarterback draw, and Graves maybe got a yard. Good reaction by Polk. Right now, Tim Polk's kind of taken over the game.
Yes, he has. We saw him make a sack earlier on the outside. This time he lines up in his normal position as an inside linebacker, and he wasn't fooled one bit by the quarterback draw.
So they'll settle for the field goal. This will be a 25-yard attempt by Biscuit.
There's Polk on the right side of your screen. Nobody blocks him. The design of the play is just to get him to drop into his pass zone, but he reads the quarterback draw for the tackle.
Biscuit missed one from 45 yards earlier, his first miss of the year. This will be for 25. McDonald to hold, and this kick is up. It's good, and that's a big field goal. They have to score 3 times now, Florida does, as they now trail 38-21. Well, coming into this game, everybody was talking about there could be a very good chance that 3 schools from the state of Florida could be ranked 1, 2, 3. Florida State, Miami, and Florida. Of course, that's going to change now with this upset here. And Syracuse ranked 18th. They should really move up in the rankings.
Syracuse will now challenge Miami at the Big East as the king of the hill.
That was a 17-play drive covering 73 yards, took 8 minutes and 9 seconds, and that is ball control in the true sense of the word, culminating in the 25-yard field goal by Biscuit. Absolutely what Pasqualoni had ordered. He could have asked for a better situation. Well, that Big East football conference we're talking about, how they'll determine the champion and so forth. In 1993, they'll play a full 7-game conference schedule. Miami, Syracuse, Pittsburgh, Rutgers, Temple.
This year, the conference winner will be decided by the AP ranking at the end of the year. Is it the AP ranking or the...
No, it's a coaches poll. It'll be in the USA Today, CNN. That's right. The old UPI ranking. Houston and Duncan back to receive the kickoff from O'Neal, but there'll be no return. O'Neal has kicked off a total of 4 times, and only 1 has been returned today. So that's only 2 returned the entire season. That saves your special teams. Oh, look at this. Red Sox a half game behind Toronto now. 12-1 over the Yankees. Oakland has something to say about who pulls out that pennant chase as they defeat Toronto 4-0. Matthews comes out throwing. Harrison Houston tackled instantaneously that time by Tony Jones.
I'm surprised. I thought Syracuse would be laying back in the zone. Instead, they brought Montemore on a blitz. They want to get Matthews, it looks like, to throw the ball a little sooner than he wants and just dump it off for short yardage.
It's the most points Florida has given up since last year against Tennessee on October 13th when they gave up 45, and here are flags everywhere. It was a 2nd and 7 before the snap.
Dead ball foul. All start. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
When you get into a 2-minute drill, Gary, usually you just go on the first sound or the second sound. But with this noise level, once again, sometimes it's hard to hear that. Sometimes you think you hear a snap count and you really don't.
Solid 2nd and 12 after the 5-yard penalty. Matthews flushed out, and he's going to be thrown for a loss. Lusardi was in that pile, got a piece of him. And Pat O'Rourke also in on the play, and a loss back to the 5-yard line. Again, they have put pressure on all day long on Matthews.
Pat O'Rourke hasn't played much today. Kevin Coyle, the defensive coordinator for Syracuse, probably wants to keep his linemen fresh now. Keep some rested bodies in there, guys that can get after the quarterback. And O'Rourke gets the penetration to trip up Matthews.
3rd down, 25. And they've got the play clock expiring. So that'll be half the distance.
Florida's placed in an untenable situation now. They have to throw the ball. The pressure's on. The crowd is...
Listen to this crowd.
Just deafening right now.
Several basketball games here. Jim Boeheim's team. First time for football, and it is noisy. Here's Matthews up the field, and I don't think Sandquist saw the ball he was looking for, the receiver, Houston Harrison. He was so intent on him, the ball hit him and bounced away.
I think Sandquist had to make up his mind whether he wanted to put another shot on Harrison Houston or intercept the pass, and he couldn't make up his mind.
Hawkins and Mitchell put the heat on, and so on 4th down, Edge will go as deep in the end zone as he can to try to get this one away. Syracuse sends back 3 men for the punt. 3:28 left. No real pressure put on. Nice punt. Shelby Hill to midfield strike. And he's going to be knocked out of bounds at that point. 48-yard punt that time by Edge. Del Spear over defending on the play. So the 38-21 count here. Let's go to Roger Twyble now for an update in New York.
Thank you very much, Gary. At the Coliseum in Los Angeles, the Trojans trailing Arizona State 32-18. Over 2 minutes to go. Mazio Royster will take it in 10 yards for the touchdown. That makes it 32-25. About a minute left. Arizona State has the football. Let's go back to Gary.
Boy, Roger, figure out USC. They lose to Memphis State. They beat Penn State, and now they're losing to Arizona State. I can't figure them out.
Up 1 week, down the next.
First down now from the 50-yard line. Graves is the quarterback. 3:17 left in the game. They'll give off to Marcus Lee. Lee spins for 3 yards to the 47. Well, this has been impressive if you're a Syracuse Orangeman fan. Look at these drives. 17 plays, 11 plays. They had a 9-play drive that ended in a missed field goal. Other than the 1 fumble, they have played near perfection in a lot of ways. They've done so many things very well in the second half.
They really had. They knew that they had to come in here and ball control as much as they could and not turn the ball over, and they followed that formula, and here they are going to win this football game 38-21.
2nd and 7. Antonio Johnson will go in motion. Graves to Walker. Walker penetrates the 45-yard line. Be 5 yards short of the first down. Tony McCoy made the stop. I thought Bo Schembechler said something very interesting in the scoreboard show with Roger. He said, boy, when you are on the road and somebody returns a kickoff against you for a touchdown start a game, it really changes things. And it did. This game got off on such great footing for Syracuse.
Go, punt alert. Florida's been like a boxer in the corner all day today. From the opening kickoff to the halfback option passes to everything else that Syracuse has thrown at them.
3rd and 5. Walker now with 78 yards rushing. And it's going to be Walker again. And he's about a yard short of the first down. Ed Robinson made the stop. Well, this is only the third trip to the Northwest, should say the Northeast, for this Florida team since 1984. They played in the Meadowlands against Rutgers. And they may not want to come back anymore.
Well, that's probably true, but with the new SEC, they're not going to get much of an opportunity to play intersectional games either.
So now to punt the football will be O'Neal. He'll let as much time tick off the clock as he can. There's 7 seconds on the play clock, 1:07 left in the game. Duncan will go back to receive the punt from the 10-yard line. He's going to let it expire, and they'll take the 5-yard penalty. O'Neal has been a story in himself, kicking off today.
What a shot in the arm this gives to Paul Pasqualoni in his offense, though, Gary. He took over for Dick McPherson last year. He didn't lose a single recruit who had verbally committed to Dick McPherson when he took the job with the Patriots. And here he is today in a shocker.
A punt by O'Neal. Good one. He booms it. He rocks it into the end zone. And so they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line with 50 seconds left in the game. Well, it's homecoming here at Syracuse, and what a nice homecoming present for the orange and blue. On the 20-yard line, Florida with the last gasp here. Matthews, been a busy guy today, coming back in at quarterback. No, Brian Fox is the new quarterback. Fox, the Purdue transfer, the junior out of Orlando, comes in and takes the snap. And they wedge it forward. And this game is winding down.
Well, these offensive linemen are happy, aren't they? They had a difficult task today, and they were equal to the challenge.
That was basically the big question mark, was that offensive line, and they proved themselves today. Pass comes out to Kelvin Randolph, and he'll bring it out for a first down. Ismail, what a game he had. He has come on his own. He's not just now Rocket's brother. He's the missile.
That's for sure. He's made some tremendous strides this year as a football player.
Nice kid. Wonderful kid.
Matthews did about all he could today as a quarterback. I mean, he threw some interceptions, but he was forced to throw the football.
Here's Brian Fox, who had an outstanding freshman year at Purdue, airing this one out. Greg Walker, the closest to it. And with 1 second left in the game now, that intended receiver was Kevin Glenn. 1 second left to go in the game. Cappuccioni on his crutches already.
I think the timekeeper could have been a little merciful there and just let his fingers go a little more slowly.
Syracuse had 250 yards rushing today, and this guy Womack had one of the touchdown runs. We will not have the Thrifty Car Rental post-game report. We apologize due to the fact we're running out of time. This game, a lot of scoring, a lot of stoppages of the clock. This will be the last play. And Syracuse with a major upset. Syracuse 38-21. The Orangemen led all the way. Paul Pasqualoni is still unbeaten as a head football coach. He is 3-0. The final thoughts here from the Carrier Dome when we return.
Today,
Syracuse 38, Florida 21. 18th ranked Syracuse upsetting the Gators of Florida, ranked 5th in the nation. The Chevrolet most valuable players of the game. Shane Matthews from Florida. He was 27 of 45, 347 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Ismail, 161 yards in total offense, 6 catches for 95 yards and a touchdown. And this was a complete Syracuse performance. They got good performances from the offensive line. They alternated the running backs, 2 quarterbacks. Seemingly anybody they put in there was effective today.
They're going to run out of game balls after this game, Gary. They played so well. There's a lot of offensive and defensive heroes for that team today.
Well, let's go back. Seems like a long time ago, doesn't it, when we started this game on a 90-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. It was Kirby Dardar, the redshirt freshman, out of the Florida area, who started it out on a reverse for 90 yards. David Walker from 10 yards out, 14-0 the Orangemen. And then Florida got on the board. Trey Everett, and we did not see him in the second half, caught a 7-yard touchdown pass from Shane Matthews to make it 14-7. Antonio Johnson, the Big East indoor sprint champion, caught a touchdown. And then it was 28-7 as Ishmael had a touchdown catch. Aubrey Hill caught one from 36 yards to make it 28-14 Syracuse. A game that really looked like it was going to have Florida come roaring back, only to see Willie Jackson then cut it to 7. And things got a little tense here, but Womack from 3 yards out on the option hurdled over a defender to make it 35-21. Biscup then with a clincher from 25 yards out to make it 38-21, and the Orangemen are 3-0 for the year. The executive producer of ABC Sports is Jack O'Hara. The coordinated producer of ABC's college football is Bob Goodrich. Today's game was produced by Jim Ressler, directed by Bill Webb. Richard Gelber is the technical director. John Del Vecchio is the associate director. Unit manager Harriet Hochberg. Technical operation manager Les Weiss. Russell Brooks and Ronit Larone, the assistants of the producer. Our statistician Richard Simmons. Our spotter Joe Sullivan. Ryan Gordon and Braxton Banks, our computers statisticians. Our booth coordinator Andrea Bryant, and Doug Johnson, our sideline coordinator. And for John Spagnola, I'm Gary Bender saying so long from the Carrier Dome.